Hi, everyone. Tony from Hack the Movies here. And The Crow is now 30 years old.
Wow.
And it's also getting a remake later this year.
Yeah.
I can't believe they're remaking The Crow, even though every single sequel has been a remake, and also there was a TV series remake. But they're remaking it again.
Yep, they're remaking the remake.
Yes. I mean, how many times are we going to tell this story?
I don't know.
How many sad men are getting killed, and how many birds are bringing them back to life to dress up like clowns?
Job security for the birds.
I guess so. Yes, we're going to talk about The Crow today on Talking About Tapes.
We're talking about tapes.
Hello, Joey C.
Tony from Hack the Movies. What is happening, baby?
We're here to talk about a classic.
A classic movie indeed.
Everyone knows about The Crow. Everyone grew up watching it. When did you first see this?
Tony, I just saw this movie, actually. And you're probably wondering how. Well, a very handsome Italian man texted me and said, "Hey, go watch The Crow." And I thought, all right, I guess I'll watch it. And that handsome Italian man is muscular, single, right? Has a patreon.com/hack the movies.
We're filming this 2 weeks in advance. I don't know if a lady's locked me down yet, Joe.
Yeah, baby.
I'm going to predict I'm still on the market. Yeah, I'm shocked you haven't seen The Crow.
Honestly, me too.
I feel like this would have been something up your alley.
It's been on my radar for a long time, but this was the final push. I was like, all right, Tony wants me to watch it, I got to do it.
Yeah, The Crow, very very big movie at the time, very controversial movie because of what happened on set.
Yep.
I read the comic
Really?
many years ago, and I wasn't into it back then. But for this episode, I bought the comic. I got the special edition.
Wow.
Featuring a new introduction by James O'Barr. I guess now he's James O'Barr. He was J. O'Barr, but I guess he changed it. 30 pages of never-before-seen artwork.
Wow.
Including a new closing segment, Sparkle Horse, and the touching new scene, An August Noel.
Oh, Sparkle Horse. Nice.
Yeah, new introduction by James O'Barr. Lost sequences restored using the artist's original technique.
Wow.
So this is like the definitive
Yeah.
Crow adaptation. It is a good little comic.
Really?
Yeah, the 90s were like a weird time where these like small comics from like smaller comic companies were getting turned into movies. Like we've talked about a few. We talked about Tank Girl. We did Virus is one of them.
The Mask?
Yep. I didn't do that on this show yet. But yes,
But
The
that's
Mask,
one of them, yep.
The Mask is one of them. It was like a weird point in history where that was just happening.
Yeah, wow.
I don't know why. Apparently, a different studio wanted to adapt it first. And they went to James O'Barr, and they, according to what I read, they said they wanted it to be like a musical, and they had Michael Jackson in mind
Really? That's interesting.
to play the Crow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he wasn't into that. And then apparently one of the writers of this pitched some idea and to the comic, the same comic that the company that distributed this. And according to what I read, they said they were like, no, this is too similar to The Crow. And this guy went, what the hell's The Crow? And then he looked into it. He's like, oh, this probably make a movie. So I think they met up with the writer.
Cool.
There were a lot of writers on this. I think one of the producers was a writer, but he didn't get credited. But yeah, so based on a comic by J. O'Barr, from the director of Crowded House's Don't Dream It's Over music video.
Wow.
Hey now, don't dream it's over. He also did Dark City,
Oh, yep.
I, Robot, Knowing. His movies got worse after Dark City.
I can see that, yep.
Gods of Egypt.
A classic?
No, that is not a classic. That is not a classic. When Chadwick Boseman died, people talked about his film legacy. They all left out Gods
I
of
was going to
Egypt.
say, yeah, no one talked about that one.
Yeah, and it was written by one of the writers who gave us Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3,
Wow.
Critters 3,
Wow.
and Critters 4.
Whoa.
And I think he did a different Texas Chainsaw, too. And the other writer wrote a bunch of cartoon shows, including the RoboCop animated series.
Oh, really?
And I
Yeah.
point that out because there's some similarities to
Yeah,
that
there
film
is.
later on. And of course, starring Brandon Lee,
Yep.
who died tragically on set. Do we just want to get this out of the way right now?
Yeah, we'll get it out of the way right
Okay.
now.
Do you know what happened?
I do know what happened, yeah. I
Yes.
researched it extensively last night.
Yes. So basically what it was, they had blanks and they were using a different type of blank and they didn't, what was it?
So basically what happened was
Yeah.
is they had a dummy round. And
Yes.
when they lit off the dummy round, it lodged the front of the bullet in the barrel.
And then they shot the scenes without the gun expert. And
Yep.
there was a prop master who didn't know how to properly like do those things.
Yep.
So yeah, when they pulled the thing, it launched the round and it hit him and
Yep.
unfortunately died.
Yeah.
8 days before they were done shooting.
Wow.
So they had to, that's why I said I don't know who wrote this, because they had to like do some last minute rewrites.
Yeah.
A whole character got eliminated from the movie because of that. Because there was just no way to finish his scenes in context. So yeah, and the reason J.O. Barr wrote the comic was to deal with the death of his fiance. I think she was killed by a drunk driver. And then he was reading about a story about like a couple that got killed over a $20 ring. And he was like, trying to process that like kind of loss. So he like developed this story and everything. But then apparently he got like really sad because he ended up being friends with Brandon Lee, and then Brandon Lee died, and he kind of like internalized that a little bit. Yeah. The comic is really, really, really good. It's got very interesting art style. We're going to go through the movie. I'll mention some of the changes because the movie version improves a lot on some of the story. But yeah, the Crow, he's a badass dude.
Yeah, a very manly man.
Yeah, when I was reading the comic, I'm like, man, he's got like katanas. He's like, when he breaks into the pawn shop in this comic, he just punches like the wall down.
He's
He's super strong. I'm like, this is a tough guy. Like any page I open up to, he's doing something cool, like ballet.
Right. So
anyway, yeah, he's like a cool badass.
Yeah, super manly man.
Of all the pages, why not the page where he had all the guns? I open up to the ballet with his cat.
Should we do ballet?
No.
Oh, okay. Right.
We'll do Billy Elliot another day. Is that a classic?
Yeah, that's a classic.
It's a classic. I think I watched it once. I remember liking it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, let's go into this film. So we see a miniature city, and it's actually a very, very good miniature city. The composited fire effects, not as good.
No.
They're like squished,
Yeah, I
some
did
of them.
notice that,
Yeah. So this is like early 90s. What year was this? This is like
92?
Was it 92?
Yeah, I thought it was 92. Let's fact check
Let's
that.
fact check. I don't have a physical copy. I'm sorry. So this is 94, a year or so after Jurassic Park and The Abyss and Terminator 2. So people were trying to up their effects game.
Yep.
Yeah, the fires look a little rough.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
We get an opening narration, which actually in the book, they never really explain why any of the supernatural stuff is happening. It just is really.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I binged it in one sitting. While Biggest Problem in the Universe was playing, one of my favorite podcasts, and on that episode, they shit on me 3 times. So I might have missed a detail because
Nice.
I'm just like, did Dick just say I have a punchable face? Like, what? Why did he say that?
You can't take Tony's smug face. Poor Tony, that's horrible. Every time I see Tony talk about it, fucking grab his face. We did 2 reviews. We did an Evangelion review, and then we did Face Off. Why don't you open your eyes, Tony? Why don't you open those goddamn eyes? It's actually better, though.
Like, what the fuck?
That's why we're building up our muscles. Yeah. Ooh, baby.
Yeah, so we get this opening narration from the girl Sarah.
Yep.
Who is a character from the comic, although she might have had a different name. She's talking about how, like, a crow will take you to the afterlife, but sometimes something so bad happens that the crow will bring you back to set things right. And I'm like, wow, that's a cool setup for a story. But then I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
what are they doing, like, in genocides? Like, God, they need a lot of crows.
Yeah, I know, literally.
Stuff like that always takes me out. I'm like, well, no. What if there was like a really bad thing, like a bomb dropped on a city? Like there's gonna be 10,000 crows. Like
Yeah.
you gotta bring them all back and set this
More.
right.
Yeah.
You all have superpowers. Go. But for the context of the story,
Yep.
I like the little zoom in on the loft apartment.
That's super cool. Awesome apartment, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I know we've talked about apartments.
Yes, this is a nice one. I
Yeah.
can see why she didn't want to leave it.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same.
We see that there is a man dead on the street. and there's a woman who is dying upstairs, and Ernie Hudson's there as Albrecht.
My man.
Now, this is a character from the comic.
Okay.
All right, so him and the girl Sarah, who we're about to meet, they're like, there's not a lot of characters in the comic. It's mostly Eric talking to himself. I was going to say the Crow, but spoiler, in the comic, the Crow actually talks.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he relays this message, and they thought that would be stupid for a movie, so they figured out a plot device so for him to like get all this information without needing the Crow. And then, as I said, they had to cut that character out of the movie. So now it's just even more up in the air. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what he is. In a little
Okay.
bit. So Albrecht in the comic, in this version of the movie, it's a combination of two characters.
Okay.
So Albrecht is just like a white beat cop in the comic. But then there is a Captain Hook, and they do make jokes about his name.
Oh, really? Okay.
But he's like, this Albrecht, we're going to be like, Captain Hook? Oh, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, they make jokes about it. And he's like the older black detective. So they kind of merge the characters into just one new Albrecht. Yeah, he's at the scene of the crime. And he's like, man, this is like messed up. They're trying to move her. And then he meets Sarah outside. So she's just like a local girl
Yeah.
who is friends with Eric and Shelley because her
Mom
her
is
mom
like,
sucks.
yeah, her mom is like a drug addict, and she's like
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
And it's explained that like Sarah and Eric, or the fiance of Eric, right? They were fiance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were taking care of Sarah on the street.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, another good change because literally in the comic, Eric's walking. He's like, "Why are you crying, little girl?" And she's like, "My mom sucks." And he's like, "Well, that sucks." And hopefully things get better. And then like, you never see her. Like, they do the whole scene with the mom and everything.
Yeah.
And then like before like the last issue, before the final showdown, he like visits that little girl again. He's like, "Hey, I wanted to give you this thing. I'm gonna miss you." It's like you had one interaction.
One
with her.
interaction, yeah.
So when they were doing the movie, like he should probably know her ahead of time.
Definitely. It cleared up a lot of confusion in the movie.
Yeah. Again, it's good, it's interesting, the comic, but it's like, you could have fleshed this out a little bit more. So yeah, I do like the whole part where he's like, your friend's gonna be fine. It's like, he's like, you lied to her saying Eric's fine, you're lying to me now about her, and he's like, you got me. It's very sad opening.
It is. It was really sad opening.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I was like,
And again, I
Ugh.
was too young to really, I didn't see this movie till like early 2000s when it was like on cable and stuff.
Yeah.
Like my parents never rented it or anything. I had heard stories about like a guy dying like years later, but like I'm imagining like if you liked Brandon Lee from what was that movie? Is it a movie called like Laser Mission or something? I don't
is
know.
he? I thought this was his first
If
movie.
you were
Yeah.
a big Showdown in Little Tokyo, I think that was one of his movies.
Oh,
that he
okay,
did.
yeah.
Hold on, let me look that up. Hold on. Laser Mission. I was right. Laser Mission and Showdown in Little Tokyo. And I know, you said earlier you thought The Crow was 1992. You're probably confusing it for Rapid Fire, starring Brandon Lee.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
of course.
But
That's
so I'm
exactly
wondering
it.
if like you were a big Brandon Lee fan and then like you watch this movie and it literally opens up with him dead. And like, that probably had to hurt at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Not now, but like, I mean, it's sad
Well, yeah,
now,
for
but it
sure.
probably was really sad then.
Yeah, because it was super fresh then.
Yeah. And that was another thing. Like Paramount was going to put this out and they were going to put it on like direct to video.
Really?
But then Miramax picked it up and they pumped more money into it and helped get it finished and added a bunch
Wow.
of shit. They cut to 1 year later.
Devil's Night?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Crow. Well, this is like the night before Devil's Night.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Yeah.
There's a
Devil's Night Eve, if you will.
we see a crow land on top of a cross that's in front of a very obvious blue screen. It's a lot of obvious blue screens in
Yeah,
this.
the effects haven't aged that well. but-
Whenever they try to put life-size people blue screen onto the miniatures, like, man, thank God a lot of this movie takes place at night. Because
Yeah, exactly.
now looking at it, I'm like, ooh, I can really tell now. I'm like, I would have trimmed a couple of these scenes a little bit quicker. Although it is a good transition to like the actual set.
Yeah,
bottom.
I did like that.
So yeah, Sarah's visiting the grave. She's like, I miss you, Eric. Miss you, Shelley. And
Dude, this scene fucking pissed me off.
Why?
Because fucking Sarah, she's walking through the cemetery and she's picking up flowers from other people's grave and sets them on Sarah or on Eric and whatever the other girl's name
Yeah.
was. And I'm like, that's kind of fucked up, man. That's somebody else's flowers, man.
Also, the way that Eric and Shelley were attacked in the comic, they're driving on the side of the road, and the gang finds them.
Oh.
And it's totally just unmotivated. They're just high on drugs, and they think it'd be fun to like torture them and kill them.
Oh, okay.
And he's actually the one who goes into a coma and stays alive. She gets killed like right away.
Really?
Yeah, and he stays alive just a little bit longer to like learn about Captain Hook and like some of the names before he comes back to life.
Oh, okay.
The second movie uses the whole broken down car thing, I think. Although instead of a couple, it's a father and son.
Yeah.
This one they switch it. He's like a mechanic in the original, and apparently a ballerina. But in this one, he's like a rock star. So that was one of the changes they made. The crow wakes him up by just like pecking on the tombstone.
Yep.
It's like, wake up.
Yeah.
Get out of there. Okay, Albrecht and Sarah eat like horrible hot dogs. What the hell was going on with the hot dogs there?
Dude, you know what's crazy about that is when I was watching that, I was so hungry. I was like, those hot dogs look kind of fucking good. You're talking about how horrible they looked.
Well, the guy is just covering it in ketchup.
He did say he does a thing that I do. He's like, you got to put the mustard underneath the dog.
Yeah, but he already like splattered it in ketchup, so that means Ernie Hudson's lifting this soup of ketchup to put mustard.
Well,
underneath.
you got ketchup slopped all over it. No big deal. You just fucking lift it up, lift the ketchup
soggy.
off.
And then I'm not an onions on hot dog.
Oh,
guy.
I am. Oh,
well, I
boy,
agree with
am I.
Sarah. They make you fart real bad.
They do. Yeah, they do. Good God.
It was weird seeing a little girl in a movie talk about farting.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't usually see that. But I don't know. I'm like, yeah, you have this like soggy goddamn hot dog. It doesn't look appetizing at all.
Again, I was thinking, damn, that hot dog was good. I was going to bring that up to you. And then you were like, yeah, it looks so gross. I'm like, yeah, it does. It's crazy.
Then we got David Patrick Kelly, who I love whenever he shows up in
awesome.
anything. He's T-Bird.
Yep.
Famously, you know him from Warriors. Come out to play. Oh.
That shook mine.
And he's in a million other movies too. Great actor.
Yep.
They're wrecking an arcade. They're just trashing it. They like set up a bomb.
Yeah.
Which is a little
Dude,
hardcore.
What the fuck? Yeah, that's so hardcore.
And as this is happening, Eric comes back to life. He crawls out. I like he just like lifts the coffin.
Yeah.
up.
Somehow was able to get the dirt off and like climb out.
Yeah.
He's screaming in agony.
Yes. Now I wonder how much of this is his body double. Because it might, by the way, it might have always have been his body double because it is really dark. You don't need to see his face.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is something he did after the incident or it was just always like that.
Yeah, there's only one scene in particular that I know was not the body double or him because after he died,
Yeah.
it was the rooftop scene.
Yeah.
That's the only scene that I know of. So I don't know if they had little shots like that.
There are a couple shots where they take scenes from earlier and they like they like rotoscoped or something and put them in different scenes.
Really?
I forgot to make note of which scenes they were.
Wow.
I've seen them. I've seen a comparison. I just went on my watching doing notes. I forgot to note.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to look into that.
So yeah, normally I wouldn't care or to like look for that stuff because I know they use body doubles, but because what I know about the movie, I'm like, I wonder what was done when. But yeah, he's crawling out and it's raining. It's raining all the time.
Yes, it is.
The characters don't like that.
I mean, I wouldn't either. And the thing that pisses me off about that too is Sarah skates down the road in the rain as a skateboarder.
Yeah.
Seeing like a skateboard on the wet road with the grip tape getting wet and your bearings and your wheels getting rusted, I was furious.
Yeah.
Not cool. That was a L for skateboarders everywhere. God damn it.
Well, look, she was at the convention. You should have came and been like, hey, you don't know how to skateboard.
That's right. I was getting angry. Getting violent.
The arcade explodes and the crow brings him back home to his old house or his old apartment. He says hi to his cat,
Yeah, he does.
which lived
Yeah, somehow.
in
for
the book.
this long.
I think he finds that cat post resurrection. And he's like, I'm going to name you Gideon.
Oh, like
Well,
it
that's
wasn't
enough-
his cat before.
Yeah, but that's like
okay.
another thing where they were like, how about we make it so he knows what these people are beforehand or these things are beforehand. He's reminded of the attack. And he's like, oh, this is horrible. And then we
brutal.
see another awkward green screen of him falling.
Yep.
And at the same time, he does that weird swing out the window.
Oh, yeah. I saw that and I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Just to like cut his hand open on the glass.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
And then like he looks and sees that he can heal.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. That makes sense.
Yes.
See, I missed that.
Yeah, he's got like the Wolverine.
Yeah.
Then T-Bird is burning cigarettes on his tongue. And then the gang almost all kill each other.
Dude, they swallow bullets.
Yeah.
They make out with the waitress.
Which is Sarah's mom.
That like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like
Fun Boy, I
how do
think,
we
is with her.
fucking go to that bar? God damn.
Well, look, they're going to fire it up.
Yeah.
Fire it up. Fire it up. Fire it up. So they're cheering. They're just really establishing these guys are awful.
Yeah,
They
the
are
worst.
terrible. And they were pretty bad in the comic too. They're just
Okay,
like, we're
yeah.
just pieces of shit. We are terrible. So then we get more flashbacks of how in love Eric was with Shelley. And that Sarah was a big part of their life. Now, this is the thing in the book. He will tend to have flashbacks. A lot of the book is him having flashbacks,
Okay.
him and Shelley.
Yeah.
But a lot of the flashbacks will eventually turn into like the murder. Like he'll be in a happy memory and it'll turn in. And during these scenes, the Crow will be like, Eric, stop remembering this. Stop remembering this and focus.
Really?
Like the Crow is like, you need to do this mission. Like, and every time he fantasizes, it's like, it's not going to end well. And it always, like, her head gets blown off in the dreams.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so the Crow is basically like his thing. Like, you're here for this.
His
Gotta do this.
guide. Yeah, his
Now-
boss, if you will.
Yes.
Right.
And now in the comic, there are these, during these dream sequences, occasionally a skull cowboy will show up.
A skull cowboy, you
And
say?
he will just comment on things. Like, he'll be like, nice outfit. And at the end of the book, he's just like, nice shot. And I think what we're meant to, I haven't read any of the further books. J.O. Barr only wrote one or two of them, I think.
Okay.
Video Villa, our friend Logan from Video Villa, he
Yep.
actually knows a lot about the Crow.
Okay.
So he's just kind of a character who's there. And I think he's just there to kind of symbolize that there's more of a supernatural, like it's connected to a more supernatural thing.
Right.
Or is he like a previous person who was brought back to life? I think that is also
Maybe.
implied.
Yeah.
So what they wanted
His
to do-
mentor.
So, not so much in the comic, but since they didn't want to do the talking crow thing, they actually had scenes where the Skull Cowboy would show up and talk to Eric. And it was Michael Berryman, who was also at PA HorrorCon.
No way.
And the makeup looks awesome.
no shit.
The makeup effects are awesome. He's got like half his cheek gone.
Oh,
and
that's
everything.
fucking sick.
So yeah, he would have this like supernatural guy, and you can look up some of the scenes. Some of the scenes are available.
Okay.
Like the audio isn't finished or anything.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's like, "Stop screwing around, you're wasting time." So like, so he
cool
would have
as shit.
taken on the personality of the Crow.
Yeah.
Not even again, as much as the Crow was a guide in the book, he was still really big.
Right.
But for a movie that's trying to be like to a bigger audience, it
Okay,
would be
yeah.
nice to have a character, much like Sam Elliott's character in Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider.
Ah, that's right. Yes.
He who was literally a skull cowboy
Yeah.
in that movie.
I'm scared to say classic, but you know.
No, that's not a classic. So yeah, they were ready to do all these scenes, and then Brandon Lee died, and a lot of those scenes were saved for like later in the production.
Wow.
So they were just like, because they had like important scenes that they had to have together that were like built off the other scenes, and they were like, we're just cutting this entire character out of the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many weeks left in production?
Well, no,
did
they said
have?
8 days they
8
had left.
days. Wow.
Yes. And then they had to
Wow.
pause production and like
Of course. Yeah.
do all the rewrites and come up with stuff.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So like Michael Berryman still gets sad about it. Like he understands, but like he's still sad like it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been cool to have this like weird zombie character just be like, what? It's just a cool little element. It's like, you ever see Highlander?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Highlander, they never tell you like why there are immortals.
Yep.
But they mention like you can't fight on holy ground. It's like, okay, is this tied to like a spiritual thing? And then when he wins the contest, all those like demons and stuff come out. It's like, you don't have to know what it is.
Yeah.
It's cooler not knowing
Yeah.
what it
You
is.
just know that it happens.
But it's fun
yeah.
to theorize.
Yeah,
like, what
exactly.
was that? And the same with the Skull Cowboy. I'm like, what does the Crow and the Cowboy got to do with this? But anyway, enough about the Cowboy.
Yes.
Okay, so he's at his makeup table, which is the only thing that was left in the apartment, apparently.
Somehow.
And he sees the mask that he used to have as a decoration, which just looks like a clown or like a jester. Again, also from the book. And although in the book, I think he like cuts himself and uses blood for it. It's black and white. It's black and white.
I was just looking at the femboy on the cover there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the novel, he has like a scar over his face. But
Oh, that's cool.
They're like, we're not doing that to Brandon Lee. He's too pretty. He's too pretty.
He was pretty.
He was a pretty guy. Um,
In a manly way, of course.
yes.
You know what I'm
So yeah, he paints his face to look like that jester sort of
Yeah.
character. And then we see Tintin pawning a leather
man.
bag to John Polito's
saying?
character.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude.
I love John Polito.
He's awesome, man.
He is oh, did I call the cat Gideon?
I think so, yeah.
No, the pawn shop guy's name is Gideon.
Oh, okay. Gideon, yeah.
Hold on.
Let's confirm this. I don't know the movie well enough.
Gabriel, sorry.
Gabriel. That's kind of
Sorry.
Bible-ish.
This is Gideon.
Yeah.
Gabriel was the cat.
Ah, okay.
If you've left a comment before watching the rest of the video, don't delete it because I like the engagement, but reply to that previous comment calling me an idiot for getting the cat wrong and say, sorry, I am not an idiot. I
Yes.
just didn't finish the video. He's pawning the leather bag to Gideon, and like Tintin and Gideon don't get along.
No. Not
Because
at
he's
all.
like ripping him off or
yeah,
whatever.
he's giving him $50 for all that.
Yeah, but I like that he's like, oh, is this so-and-so's blood on the bag?
Yeah.
And then the crow guides Eric to Tintin. Because like one of the powers he has, so he can heal. He's like pretty much invulnerable.
Yep.
And he can like see what the crow sees.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the crow like finds Tintin, like Eric knows to run after him.
Just hanging out in like a alley somewhere.
Yes.
Tintin's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
he's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I do like that Eric just like falls and lands on his back and then
yeah.
just starts laughing to freak him out. And Tintin's got a nice jacket.
Yeah.
And Eric would agree that the jacket
I
is
agree.
nice. Because he steals that jacket. They duke it out, and the crow interrogates him. Look, I like Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
Some of his acting is off for me in this movie. And this
I would
scene-
agree.
This interrogating scene, I was just like,
Man, what the fuck you want, man? Why don't you tell me a story? A man and a woman in law a year ago.
I would agree with that.
There are moments where he's really good in this movie, and there's other moments where I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I think this is definitely one of them for
But
sure.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that because everyone loved him. I'm not saying he was a bad actor
he's
or
great.
anything,
Yeah,
but he was like young. He was still
yeah.
like a young actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, this interrogation scene is not as like just not as good as like later because there are scenes where he is like threatening people and he's really good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for the first one to not be that good, I'm like, eh.
I agree.
But this scene's fun where he's like throwing the knife.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
He'll like catch it
Yeah.
in midair. It's so
Like,
cool. Yeah, he hits
Yeah,
it out
yeah.
of the air. That was cool.
But I will say the movie not as violent as the book.
Oh, I've heard stories. That the book is crazy.
super violent.
Yeah.
If you thought what they did to Eric and his lady in the movie was bad, the book is so much worse.
Is the book or is the movie rated R?
It
Or is
is
it PG-13?
But I think they also might have toned down a lot of this stuff because
Yeah.
of what happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, because it feels weird that they cut away from a lot of the violence.
Yeah, I did notice that a lot of it
Yeah.
is off screen.
Yeah. Which is cool, it's effective, but it feels like it wasn't filmed that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like throws the knives back and he like interrogates him. We don't see a lot of the interrogation. But then we meet Tony Todd. He's at a club and he's guarding Top Dollar's office. Top Dollar is Michael Wincott, who was recently in Nope
Yep.
and Alien Resurrection. I
Oh,
know him from
yeah.
Alien Resurrection most of all. And he just had a three-way with Bai Ling. They used to put her in movies a lot. And some other girl who died.
Yeah. And what do they do, Tony? Your favorite, man.
Bai Ling says that she likes her eyes.
Ah, God.
And then she pulls out a knife. We don't see it, but we know that she's going to cut those eyes out. And also my phone auto-corrected Bai Ling to buy lingerie.
Buy lingerie.
Sarah visits her mom at work. Sarah's mom sucks.
Yeah, the worst.
Yeah.
I love how this kid's just going into bars all the time.
She's like, I told you to get out of here. Take some cash. Get out of here.
somebody already bought me lunch. And then the fucking guy's like, somebody already bought me lunch.
Yeah, he's like the police.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, can you not hang out with the police? Eric shows up to the pawn shop, even though John Polito's like, get out. I don't want you here. He breaks in. And then John Polito, when he's like trying to like threaten him and like shoot him and it's not working, he just starts going, shit on me.
Dude, shit on
Shit
me.
on me.
Yeah, like, what does that mean, dude?
I don't know.
Shit on me. Shit on me.
I don't know.
Some of the language in this movie is wild. Like the shit on me, and then the cop. A bunch of times during the movie, the cop will go, "What in the crap?" And I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck is going on?"
Well, there are
here?
some, like, I don't know if James Barr like did drugs or actually hung around junkies, but it feels like when I was reading like the dialogue, I'm just like, I feel like you were just guessing what they say.
Yeah.
Although I wasn't around, like he wrote this like pretty much all throughout the 80s.
Yeah.
Like it took a while for this book to come out.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
maybe
yeah.
that's what they were saying. back
Maybe.
then.
I don't know.
But yeah, I do like when he like goes up into like the roof and like swings down
Yeah.
at him. And he's quoting like the Raven. This is the one where he quotes the Raven.
Yep. Yeah.
Which
Quotes the
again,
Raven.
uh,
Rapping
this
at
is,
my door.
This
or
is
whatever.
pretty much from the book. This is like
Yeah.
one of the scenes that's very close to the original. He's like, I want a ring. Like there was a ring that was donated here, but then it cuts back to Albrecht being chewed out by a detective
Yep.
who played one of the Dominicans posing as a Cuban in Seinfeld.
Mm.
Remember, they rolled the crepes too tight because they don't
that's
know how
right.
to roll as good as the Cubans do, and then people were getting sprayed with hot crepes
Oh.
at the end of that Seinfeld episode when Kramer tries to like pose past Dominicans off as Cubans for cigars. But I love whenever I look up any actor, I will just see what they played in Seinfeld. He's been in so many things, and I'm like, nah,
No, Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. Your small part in Seinfeld. So we find out that Albrecht got demoted
Yes.
because he was snooping around in places he shouldn't have been snooping around. They made him a beat cop. But I like he's just like, what's that? Because there's now a crow logo.
Yeah.
He's like, looks like blood, but you'd say graffiti. He's like, you shut the fuck up. But I like when they're reeling Tintin out. He just has all the knives.
Yeah, in every organ. It's so fucking cool. I'm like, dude, that dude had a ton of knives. What the fuck?
Yeah. Then back at the pawn shop, he finds his ring, but he's got his hand pinned to the counter, which is pretty fun. He's like, look, I'm going to leave you alive. Tell everyone that I'm coming. It's much like Batman. I want you to tell your friends about me. And he's like, I'll kill you, blah, blah. I like that he puts the rings in the shotgun.
Yeah, that's cool
Yeah.
as shit.
And then he's like, is that gasoline
Is
I
that
smell?
yeah? That sounded just like him.
Is that gasoline I smell? It does sound like it.
And then somehow he just blows up the
Yeah,
place.
he blows up the place.
And
Gideon gets out.
Gideon fucking flies
Flies
out the door. That was so awesome. Just in time.
Real quick, John Polito. I got to bring it up. The show I love, Millennium.
Yep.
He's in an episode of Millennium.
Yep.
It's like, that show is pretty dark and disturbing,
Yeah.
but occasionally they did some more like lighter episodes.
Okay.
In the beginning of that episode, he's a mafioso guy, and they go to like kill him in the woods. But then he survives, and then like the episode flashes back like 12 years forward, like jumps ahead 12 years forward. And Frank Black, played by Lance Henriksen from Sasquatch.
Yep.
Oh wait, that episode won't come out
yeah.
for a while. They go to the town where it happened, and there's like all these statues for the local legend called Littlefoot, and it's about like a tiny bald Bigfoot. And you find out it was John Polito. He's been living in the woods with these girls who are like angels, but he's been wearing a fur coat and just letting his hair grow, and he's bald. So now he's become a local legend, like a Bigfoot. And that was my Millennium Minute. This show no one remembers, and this is season 3 where a lot of people fell off.
That's
John
wild.
Polito was in it, and it gave me an excuse to talk about it. It's literally a statue of like a John Polito Bigfoot.
That is so fucking cool.
Albrecht tries to stop Eric. He's like, what the hell's going on here? He's like, I remember you or whatever. He brings up like the attack, and Albrecht's like, yeah, I remember that. The girl died, and it was very painful, and she was alive for 30 hours or whatever. It's like,
Yep.
oh, Jesus.
Got
I
good
love
memory.
that he left the pawn shop with a guitar.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah,
I don't know
he-
if that's his guitar. I forget if they say that. But
Oh, I don't know if it is
Yeah.
or not. I just thought he was being badass because he picks it up on the way out.
yeah. So he basically tells him like, yeah, that was me. I did that. And then he does a Batman. He does a Batman where they look away and he gets out
gone.
of there. I think they really got that from Batman.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do like he's like, if you're gonna shoot me, shoot me. Because again, that also happens in the book. He's
Yeah.
like, you shoot me, I'm just gonna keep walking. So Bai Ling burns the girl's eyes, and then they eat it. And then they inform Top Dollar, like, Gideon's place burned down. And he's just like, I didn't tell you guys to burn that building down. They're like, oh no, it wasn't us. Someone else is doing it. Also, Tintin's dead. He's like, oh shit. That sucks.
Stabbed in each of his organs in alphabetical order. Yeah.
Sarah, skateboarding in the rain again.
Dude, it infuriates me.
And not looking before she skateboards in the street.
Where's the helmet?
Where is the helmet?
Come on, man. Where are the parents? Oh.
Well. She almost gets hit. Eric saves her.
Yep.
And then he won't show her his face.
Yep.
And she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I wish it would stop raining because it rusts out my wheels and the grip tape is back.
But I tell you, now you're learning.
And then he goes, can't rain all the time.
Can't rain all the time.
Eric?
Which again is a lot like RoboCop.
Yeah, it
where
is.
Where
That
Murphy
is right.
sees the thing, the gun twirling.
Yeah.
He's like, Murphy? Borrowed a little bit from RoboCop.
Yep.
Like it is the story from the book, but there's like let's use RoboCop as like a framework.
Yeah. And then he disappears, right? After
Yeah,
that?
and then he disappears. So they also borrowed from Batman.
Yeah.
So Albrecht gets a file from a sassy lady cop who this is her only scene in the whole movie. You think she's like, I have one scene in this fucking movie and I'm going for
yeah,
it.
exactly. And boy, did she.
Yeah, she really went for it. She's like, I got you this. Don't tell him you got him from me.
Really over the top.
Yeah. He looks at the file and he sees the picture of Eric and his band. We never see those bandmates.
No, we don't.
But I like that he draws on the face to make like the crow sort of makeup. He's like, I wonder.
Starting to put the pieces together there.
Yeah, yeah.
You do see that photo of the band though throughout the movie a lot.
Yeah.
So
And then Sarah's mom is shooting up with Fun Boy.
a gross scene. I hate needles.
Yeah.
So seeing that, I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Look, Sarah's mom, not the best girl ever, but man, she's packing in one department.
Boy, is she packing.
And they make sure to have a
Holy
scene where you
shit.
see them bounce.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I saw that. I was like, oh, this is a good movie after all.
But I like when the actual crow comes in. She's like, what's that big bird doing here? And then he comes in and he's being a real asshole.
Yeah.
Again, very similar to the book. He like sits on the chair.
Yep.
And I like when he like shoots the hand and he's like, and then he turns around and he's just like, oh. And it just like heals.
And then he says that Jesus Christ joke, which
Yes.
is really funny. I love that scene.
Also from the source
No
material.
shit,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Walks in with 3 nails, says, would you put me up for the night? Yeah, they did that in the book. He's always saying like weird poems and jokes and
Really?
stuff.
Yeah.
They toned it down a little bit for
They
this
did,
movie.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I like
did it. No, because they did the Edgar Allan Poe thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they did
yeah,
this
yeah.
one. So they did do it a little bit in the movie.
So I like that he like shoots Fun Boy, right? Yeah, he shoots him in like the leg and he's
Yep.
more upset about his sheets. He's like, my sheets.
Why would you do this to my
sheets?
sheets? And then he just like passes. He like goes to sleep.
Yeah, and then he throws him in the tub and then he like grabs Sarah's mom. And then I guess this is a power he has. He like grabs her and
gives her the memories or whatever. Or
I
like
guess,
the,
yeah, he can like do some kind of psychic thing.
I
But
don't fully understand.
Or
that.
he can just grab your arm and shoot the heroin out
out
of your
of
blood.
dude, I was cringing.
Yeah.
Ugh, that was so fucking gross,
It was
man.
like, mother is God in the eyes of a child.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
It's similar to what they say in Silent Hill. I think I said the Silent Hill version, but it's kind of similar
It's
to
the
that.
same thing, yeah.
And he's like, go, your daughter is on the street.
And she needs her
Go
mother.
be with her.
Was not expecting the Tony Brandon Lee impression today, and it's pretty spot on.
I didn't expect to do it until I was watching it this morning. Also, sorry, another thing in the comic, you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
He's like, my friends will escort you out. Because in the comic, he also can like have a psychic link with animals. So a bunch of cats are waiting for her outside
shit,
to
that's
walk her.
fucking
Hold on, let me see if
awesome.
I can find it. Hold on.
That is so sweet. If I could have a band of cats, that'd be sick.
Oh, yeah, here we go. All the cats are waiting for
Oh
her.
my god,
to take
that's
her
super cool. Why do they look so creepy?
I have some friends outside to escort. Now it's turning into George Takei. I have some friends outside to escort you down. Go.
Go.
Sherry is the name of Sarah in the comic.
Sherry.
Because he's like, I knew a Sherry. I think there should have been cats.
I agree. I completely.
That new
fucking
crow
agree.
better have that scene.
Dude, and if it doesn't, if it's like the jackal in the first Omen, we're gonna have some problems. The mother was a cat.
The mother was a cat. So Tony Todd talks to Gideon in the bar area, and then he hears he sees Big Titty Sarah's mom jiggling out of the bar, and he's like, "What's going on upstairs?"
So he just runs up
he
there.
goes up there, and Eric's got a thing. He put all the needles in Fun Boy's chest.
Oh God! Again, cringe, man. That was so disgusting. Loaded with needles.
Yeah. Oh my God. So then Eric visits Albrecht, who I like. It was funny because it's been a minute since I watched this. I'm like, why is his hat still on? So he's at home.
That was so
in
funny,
his boxers and t-shirt. He's still wearing his police hat. I'm like, what is going on? And then Eric comes in and he's like, your hat's still on. And I'm just like,
fucking impression.
I didn't think I actually.
Dude, it's so funny.
Does it sound like you? I feel like I honestly think it's turning into George Takei. I really think
It sounds so good. I'm fucking crying.
How about this? You gonna vanish into thin air again? I thought I'd use the front door. Your hat's still on. It's not funny. This is beloved actor Brandon Lee, you asshole. Stop laughing at his voice. Joey. You can't laugh all the time. We're not allowed to do episodes alone together. It turns into laughing fits.
We did the fucking Doubtfire episode.
Join Patreon and become a member to watch us for like 5. There's a clip of us for like maybe 3-5 minutes, just dying laughing, coming up with a bit. Okay.
Okay.
I didn't think we'd talk about the scene so long. All right. Ugh. So his hat's still on. I thought that was funny. So he has more information about like the gang, and he's like, I got the file here. And then he tells him like everything that happened to Shelly. He's like, yeah, it was this, it was that. And then he like touches Albrecht's head to like get his memory, like Spock's mind meld. Which again, I don't think this was in the book. I think they made this up for the movie.
Makes sense for the movie.
Yeah, but because Albrecht was there, and that's something Captain Hook did in the book. He was like kind of there at when Eric was the one in the thing. He's able to see everything he sees, so he got to like feel like all her pain and stuff. And I like it like hurts him for a second.
Yeah.
He like falls around. He's like, "Get away from me!" And he's like, "You were there the whole time." And he's just like, "Yeah, I was hoping she would pull through." So we learn a little bit here that Shelly was fighting some kind of eviction. The people on the building wanted her out and relocate her, and she was fighting it. And like Albrecht thought it might have been part of some bigger conspiracy, and because he was investigating it, he kind of got demoted. So they're adding this whole element there. And then Albrecht is also going through a divorce. His wife left him, probably because he got demoted. I don't know.
Probably.
So yeah, and then the crow leaves. He doesn't vanish into thin air.
No.
He thought he'd use the front door. Never once tried to do a Brandon Lee accent. I didn't expect this reaction from it. So Top Dollar and Gideon are arguing. And then they reveal that Top Dollar's girlfriend, Bai Ling, is his sister.
Oh my God, I know.
Based on every front page of every major porn site, this isn't going to get the same reaction if they do it in the remake.
No.
This is my half-sister, my stepsister, and no one's going to be like, ew.
They're going to be like, whoa. All right. Here we go.
They're going to be like, oh, can I mute you so I don't have to think about it while I watch?
Yeah.
They put the hottest girls in those videos.
I know they do. I know they do. Believe me, I understand.
I'm like, mute? I'll just make up my own story?
I don't know. You just skip ahead.
Yeah, just like, I don't want the setup.
Yeah, you don't
I
get
want
the setup. Yeah, just order the pizza and get it over with.
Yeah, it's a pizza man. There's no pizza here. It's in my mind, it's the pizza man.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point where I see something that's like, girl cheats on husband. I'm like, oh, normal. Awesome.
Finally, some normalcy around here.
Realtor really wants to sell the house. I'm like, at least they're not related.
Yeah.
But then there's always the risk of like, realtor really wants to sell the house to her stepbrother. Like, no!
God damn it.
It can't always be that. I like the don't you see the resemblance? I can't do a Michael Wincott voice.
No, don't stick
I
to
can
it.
only do the one line from Alien Resurrection. She is supremely fuckable, isn't she? That's the only one I can do. I cannot do anything else. I like it sword closet.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking manly, dude.
Yeah. And here's the thing, when I was reading, I heard like Brandon Lee got like really involved with the production and he removed some elements that he thought might be offensive to Asian people.
Okay.
And I think because like the Crow does use a katana in the comic, and I'm like, was Brandon Lee like, I don't want to be stereotyped like that, but they're like, we gotta get a katana in here somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
give it the top dollar.
No, yeah, exactly. I think that's probably what happened.
Who, by the way, Top Dollar, I think it is the name of one of the gangsters, but this version that we're seeing, totally new character.
Okay.
Nothing to do with the source material. Like they were just like a street gang.
Oh,
they were
okay.
not tied to a bigger conspiracy.
Yeah.
That is added for the movie, which is where they borrow stuff from RoboCop.
Oh, yeah.
Where like a
that's
bigger
right.
person is using low-level street
Yeah.
gangs to get their job done. So yeah, he kills Gideon for disrespecting him. He's like, what are we gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. And he like stabs him through the throat. That scene's pretty violent.
That scene is violent, and
Yeah.
before that, they drop an eyeball
Yes.
in his hand or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, dude, that is so fucking
Yeah.
disgusting.
And then Eric decides to annoy whatever neighbors might be there by blasting his fucking guitar on a rooftop.
As any neighbor in an apartment would.
It's like, dude, come on. I like that the speaker's like hanging.
Oh, yeah,
he
it
does
is,
it
yeah.
twice. I think this is the scene where it's just hanging from the
Yep.
window. And then as he's playing the guitar, Sarah plays his record, and there's the song where it's like, it can't rain all the time.
And then it clicks.
It clicks.
Yes.
She's like, that is him. Afterwards, T-Bird sends Skank, I love these names,
Yeah.
into the store to grab some road beers
And some cigarettes, I think.
and some cigarettes because it's going to be Devil's Night.
Yep.
He's getting ready to blow shit up.
Yeah.
They want to have some arson.
Yeah,
They
you
wanna
gotta have some fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good lord.
But Eric is in there and he takes him hostage.
Yeah.
He's like, drive. And I like that. What'd you say? Skank gets hit by a car and then steals that guy's car. And then the cops are coming. So it becomes this big car chase,
Yeah.
which sometimes looks really good. And then they do an aerial shot with like the animated cars. And it doesn't look as good.
It doesn't look that good.
I do like that Skank crashes into the cops.
Yeah.
I see you. Ah! Like T-bones them. So yeah, he's passed out for a bit, and then T-Bird gets duct taped into the car. It's full of explosives.
Brutal.
But he spills the beans on everything. He's like, yeah, I did it, and I liked it, and it was awesome. What's the big deal? And then he looks at me, he's like, I know you. Which, again, is a RoboCop moment. We killed you.
Oh, that's right.
We
Yeah,
killed you.
But T-Bird's death scene is so fucking
This
cool.
might have, I feel like this is one where I'm like, was this one that they like upped the production for?
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
he's-
sure it was.
So he's like, goodbye, T-Bird, and like sends him off into the river.
he like takes it out of park or something,
Yeah.
and the car just flies off the pier
and blows up.
Dude,
because
it's so
all
cool.
of the dynamite, which by the way, I feel like I would have been a way bigger explosion.
Yeah, I agree.
Considering all the dynamite that was in his car.
Yep.
By the way, if he kept like one stick of dynamite, it would have really helped for an upcoming scene. So it blows up, and then it also makes his logo out of fire,
That's right. That is right.
which was then done in Daredevil
Wow, that's right.
and The Dark Knight Rises.
Wow.
Batman draws his logo in fire.
That's right. Wow.
Not one of the most memorable scenes from that movie, but a really good scene. What's
Yeah.
what's the most memorable scene from that movie for you?
Definitely, I'd have to say the stadium scene, Tony. Yeah,
Well, Joey, I
definitely.
might have mentioned a couple times. I'm in that scene.
Yeah, I know. I
Um,
did hear that. That's wild.
But Joey, we could talk about Dark Knight Rises all day long.
Yes, we could.
And I intend to. So the movie opens up with Bane on a plane. No, I'm kidding. The next day, Tony Todd is investigating Eric's grave. He's like, oh, someone dug themselves out of here.
Yep.
And then Sarah's mom wakes up to Sarah wakes up to her mom being an actual mom.
Which is very weird.
Yeah. She's like, do you like your eggs over easy or whatever? She's like, I don't like eggs. She's like, I'll throw them out. I suck. She's like, no, I like them over easy.
And then they have just a nice little beautiful
Just
moment.
have a nice moment.
Yeah.
That's all you need to kick your drug habit.
Is a big crow man
Yes.
grabbing your arms and pushing the morphine right out of there.
Yeah, so if you find out that someone got brutally murdered and the killers were never caught, go to their grave, wait for them to come back to life a year later,
Yep.
and say, hey, buddy,
Squeeze me.
get it out of there. And you'll kick that habit right away.
That's right.
According to this movie.
Yep.
Would this movie lie?
No, not
The
at
director,
all.
Alexander Proyas, lie to us?
Not a chance, Tony.
I do like Dark City. Dark City
is
fucking
pretty good.
movie.
Yeah, that's a great
That's
movie.
his best movie. The detective once again chews out Albrecht and then suspends him.
Yep.
He's like, you're hiding something from me. You're keeping something from me. Get out of here. You're suspended. He's like, oh, whatever.
All right, yeah, no big deal.
I think he just knows his days are numbered. So he's like, whatever. I
Yeah.
don't care. And then Sarah visits Eric. But he's kind of like keeping his distance. Because, he's like, I got a lot of things to focus on.
Yeah,
Did you
exactly. He's
get
got a
involved?
mission.
Yes. And he's got to stay focused on this mission. If only there were someone, I don't know, a cowboy with a skull perhaps,
Yep.
who could have kept him on track.
I
don't
agree.
know. So I like when Skank is telling everyone about Eric. Like Michael Wincott is just kind of laughing. Top down. He's like, should we record this and slow it down?
Because he's going crazy.
He's like, yeah, and he did this, man. And he did that. But they know that the Crow will be next for him because he was part of that whole operation.
Yeah.
And he's like the last one alive from that night. So they're like, keep him close. Then Sarah and Albrecht talk about Eric because they both had encounters with him. And then he once again annoys everyone playing his guitar
Yes.
really, really loud.
Yep.
This time he smashes it.
Oh, man, he smashes it beautifully. And I bet his neighbors are real happy about that.
Do you smash your guitar when you play your...
Of course,
Yeah.
every single time.
You have to. You must spend a lot of money on guitars.
It's a tax write-off.
Oh, okay, good.
No big deal.
The crime bosses all meet with Top Dollar, including Thomas Rosales Jr., who's a very famous stuntman. You've seen this man in many, 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 many movies.
Really?
Yes. The one that people on this show seem to really know him as is what was it? Was it Carlos and The Lost World Jurassic Park, the guy that the T-Rex steps on and then walks with? That's
yeah,
the
no
one that
way.
doesn't listen to the dude get
Yeah.
eaten. That's it.
Wow.
That's
okay,
it.
that's cool.
Was his name Carlos? He's like,
That's what I
got.
Yeah.
Something like that. He's the one in this one. He's like, what about Devil Knight? But every time I see it, because I used to watch like all these action movies, whenever they needed like a Latino like stuntman, like henchman or something, like, oh, that's that
it.
guy.
Yeah.
I know him. So yeah, the Top Dollar's bored. He's just like, every year we do the same thing, and now we got all these copycats. And like, what do you want to do this year? He's like, just one big fire. It's like, wow, really thinking outside the box there,
Yeah,
buddy.
really.
But the meeting gets interrupted. The Crow crashes it. Well, Eric crashes it. Well, no, the Crow actually does
come in.
crash
Yeah,
it.
he
He's like-
lands on the table.
and I love that they're just like, yes, the bird was there with him, and then this bird lands there, and Michael Wincott's like, how that thing gonna
Yeah,
get? It's
yeah,
like-
exactly. You're like, you should have fucking known by now.
And then Eric's just like, I just want him.
I'll let you all live.
I just want him. So they like shoot the hell out of him.
Dude, they light him
You light him up, which you can. You try not to think of like what really happened.
Yeah, I did notice that throughout the movie. There's a lot of that. And
Yeah.
every time I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets like shot to shit, but then he starts blowing them away. He
Yeah, he
kills like
does.
pretty much everyone.
Oh my God, it was badass.
And then during this, like we see Bai Ling try to like grab the Crow, but she misses.
Yep.
And then Skank's dead.
Yep. I love before he dies, he goes, I'm not Skank. That's Skank. Yeah.
Skank dead.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, he is. And he's like, another green screen. Ah!
Yeah.
So he dies. And then Eric somehow wandered onto a film set on a blue screen.
Yep.
And then they chroma keyed him jumping onto.
Somehow.
Very obvious.
Yeah.
Like, oof. Like, that was obvious.
Yeah. Ugh.
And he's getting shot by a bunch of people. Again, seems like RoboCop, where he like fights Ed 209 and then
Yeah.
leaves, and he gets shot a bunch. And then he gets saved by what's her face.
yep.
So yeah, and then Albrecht saves him this time.
That's right.
And then he Batmans again out of the car.
Right out of the car.
Right
Although
out
you
of the
can
car.
hear it this time. At least you can hear the sound effect of the door.
Yeah, you hear
opening.
the.
Yeah.
So Bai Ling, and I'm guessing they were implying that she had like some kind of spiritual thing.
I think no, because she does have quotes throughout the movie where like she can tell like so you're in great pain or something like that.
So she's
whatever it is.
Somehow well versed in like spiritual supernatural stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that's what she was doing with like the eye, like she wanted to do something there. But she's like, yes, the crow is the source of his power. So they're like, if we kill the crow, we can like take away his power. She somehow comes to that conclusion.
Okay. I don't know how, but you know.
There wasn't even like a thing where like the crow got hit by something and Eric went like that.
That would have been a great setup.
Unless
scene
there
for
was
that.
and we just both missed it. But
Maybe. I don't think
there
so,
is.
no.
So yeah, Tony Todd, her, and Top Dollar are just like, that's how we're gonna get him. Eric thinks his work is done. He killed all of them.
Yeah.
He assumes. And he gives the ring to Sarah. And he's like, I want you to have this. I'm going home to Sherry. I'm going home. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Adios, amigos.
Yeah, and she goes, I will never take it off. 2 minutes later, she gets kidnapped, and they yank that thing right off. But the crow alerts Eric. He's like, rah! So he goes in there to fight them, but then Tony Todd shoots the crow.
Yep.
And they think the crow is dead, but it's actually just wounded.
Yeah.
But because of this, it somehow like weakens his power.
Yes, it does.
Like he can.
'Cause he's on the ground for the first time in the movie.
Yes, he's like
from an enemy.
And I do like Michael Wincott is like, have you heard this one? I'm fucking dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think it's kind of like in the Wolverine where that thing just weakens his healing factor.
That's exactly what it is.
Because they couldn't like stop it altogether, but
Yep.
like they can weaken it up.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. They're trying to get away. They were about to like straight up kill the crow, but then Albrecht comes in with, with the flare gun. He's like, I think he kills Tony Todd.
He does, yeah.
But Bai Ling, so Top Dollar gets Sarah, Bai Ling gets the bird. And they make their way up the cathedral because Batman was popular.
That's right, exactly.
Batman was very popular.
Yeah, I know.
A few years before, Batman. By the way, the book version has now stopped. Like it's literally, it's like literally he tracks them down to a house, kills a bunch of gangsters, and the last guy he needs, he's like, all right, I'm bye.
Well, that makes sense because Top Dollar's movie exclusive, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think there was a character called Top Dollar, but
but his character,
characterization,
yeah.
So yeah, he like follows them up there. Albrecht gets hit in the shoulder, and he's like down for the count.
Yeah, I love how Brandon Lee goes like, "You should have listened to me," and he goes, "I fucked up, didn't I?" or whatever he says.
Okay. Oh wait, no. The one scene where Albrecht comes in, that seems a little too buddy cop randomly.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought you were invincible. He's like, yeah, about that. Not anymore. I'm like, where is
I know.
This feels very different.
It does,
than the rest of the movie.
It's a totally different tone to it.
Yeah. So normally this would bother me. But since this was a character who liked cutting eyes out, I was okay when the crow actually fought back and pecked Bai Ling's eyes out, and she fucking falls down the thing.
Birds 2 style, man. Ugh.
Birds 2. There are other. We literally reviewed Omen 2, where a crow pecks out a girl's eyes.
And on that episode, I also said Birds 2.
Nobody even remembers Birds 2. Why?
I was forced to watch it as a child, and I'm scarred.
The guy who ended up being like a big director did Birds 2.
No way.
Hold on.
No shit. That's crazy.
Oh, hold on. Okay, maybe not the biggest director. But yeah, Birds 2. Rick Rosenthal. He directed 2 sequels. He did Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2.
Really?
And he also did Halloween Resurrection, the best Halloween
Really?
sequel, I think.
Wow.
You might not have known that it was him because that was an Alan Smithy credit for Birds 2.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The actors in Bird 2 have little to do except widening their eyes in terror, and even that seemed daunting strange for Johnson. He also commented on the fact that it was an Alan Smithy film, The suit and the muse. Oh, Jesus. Rosenthal, he's like, I don't know. I made a sequel to Alfred Hitchcock's movie, and it's not very good. Take my name off it. He's like, meanwhile, I'm going to do 2 John Carpenter sequels. Put my name all over that, baby.
Anyways.
So, yeah, they make it up to the top. They end up sword fighting. Eric breaks off like a lightning rod, and he's using that as a sword.
Yeah.
I like that he throws Sarah off the thing, but she like slides. But she like, there's like a platform that she can land on too.
She was like either hanging or just like standing there the whole
Yeah,
time, and I was like, okay. Yeah,
but
I guess
again,
we're safe.
some of this scene is like really cool, and then it'll look
Zoom
like
out.
it'll zoom out.
Yeah,
and
it'll
little
look like
green
shit.
screen on miniatures.
Yeah.
So yeah, they sword fight. Then Top Dollar, he like has Eric like down.
Yeah.
And he like reveals, he's like, oh yeah, I'm actually the one behind the apartment thing. He's like, I own that building. He's like, I do a lot of stuff in this town. That was like my doing.
Yeah.
So he was just like, but he's like, hey, I just want you to know, you put a smile on the face,
Yeah.
on my face. I'm gonna miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
You're pretty cool. I have to kill him. He's like, I'm gonna give you something.
This whole thing killed me.
And he gives them all 30 hours of
Pain and
Shelley's
suffering.
pain
Yeah.
and suffering all at once.
And that takes him out.
He's like vomiting blood,
Oh
and
my
then he
God.
falls onto the gargoyle, and I like it impales him through the chest and his mouth.
Oh, I didn't see the mouth part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
then the gargoyle was like vomiting water,
blood.
and then it ends up
Yeah.
vomiting. That was a really good thing where when they're on the set, not the miniature.
Yeah.
They're showing them sword fight, and the camera goes right by the gargoyle vomiting water before that.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, I totally missed
So
that.
I'm like, oh, that's cool that they
Yeah.
like showed you ahead of time. And then Eric goes down to Shelley's grave. He like saves Sarah and everything. They're
Yep.
all fine. Albrecht gets carted away on an ambulance. And then he pins Top Dollar as the vigilante.
Yeah,
It's like
yep.
the vigilante's up on the roof. So yeah, Eric goes to the grave, and then Shelley comes from heaven, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
And she's like, come on, come to the afterlife.
Let's rock and roll.
It's not a cowboy in front of a train.
No, I didn't.
find that
Cowboy
image.
in front of a train.
Nice shot.
That is fucking sick. Dude, that is super badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't that.
Hey, gunslinger. Nice shot.
Nice shot.
The guy who's there. What a sad story. Anyway, then the movie ends.
That's it. Wow.
It's a decent film.
What a movie, man.
I don't like it as much as a lot of people do. I don't think it's the best thing ever.
No. I mean, I watched it
Yeah.
and I was like, this is a great movie.
Yes.
Would I like immediately rewatch it? No, I probably won't watch it for a while.
Yeah.
But
I will say the music's
was
really
fun.
good. Not just the soundtrack, but like the score is really
Yeah.
good.
And plus the action, I think it was a nice balance between like action and thriller
Yeah.
aspects of it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun to watch, though.
Yeah,
I
it was a
will
good
say.
time.
The story kept me engaged the whole time.
There is some clunk. It gets clunky at times.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole third act with Top Dollar and how he's behind it all, that, again, I think they just wanted like something bigger for the ending instead of just, and then he kills the final guy. It's like, well, what if he had like a plan? And
Yeah.
it gets a little Hollywood in the third act.
The whole like
Yeah.
overly gang violent 1990s
Yeah.
style, like we were talking about Double Dragon earlier, and like
Mm-hmm.
those movies that like really try to convince you that like the gangs run the city.
Yeah.
That got a little like over the top a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it was like almost funny.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like a comedic scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of corny
Yeah.
at times, but if that was toned down a little bit, this would be a really fucking killer movie.
But at the same time, I also like that they added an element where it's like, okay, now the Crow has a weakness.
that's
So he's
true,
not
yeah.
immortal for the ending.
Yeah.
So he's like, so now it's like, oh, he could probably die at the end.
Yeah, because he'd be unbeatable at that point. So
yeah, the only way you
have
can like
to.
really hurt him is hurting the people he knows.
Yeah.
Which again, this version, thank God, like they established that these were characters he knew ahead of time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Instead of like, bye, little girl. What was your name again?
Yeah. Oh, and I want you to have this. Like, all right, yeah, you met her once.
But yeah, it's unfortunate what happened to
Yeah.
Brandon.
I'm honestly surprised that this movie came out. Like,
Yeah, some
watching
people
all the
thought
videos
maybe they
that I
would shelve
watched,
it, yeah.
I thought for sure they would, and I'm really shocked. Although I did read, like, somebody close to Brandon Lee sued the production like a couple of years after and won for something. I don't know if it was like negligence or whatever.
Oh,
But-
yeah, that could probly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
that
other
makes
than
sense.
that, and the other sad thing that I was going to mention was Brandon Lee was engaged
Yeah.
to a woman, and they were like a week away from their wedding. And in the movie, he was like a week or so away from marrying
Because
Shelley.
it's dedicated to him and her. And I had to look up. I'm like, wait, did someone else die?
Yeah.
But no, I guess it was just to his fiance,
Yeah.
who was still alive.
Yeah.
But it was just like because they felt bad. Because I thought it was like if you've seen The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
prequel to The Dark Knight Rises. Of
course.
At the end, it says to Heath Ledger, and then there's another name because I don't think people. It wasn't as big of a story, but one of the crewmen died on The Dark Knight. Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why
Wow.
it ends with both of their names there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good time. I mean, I'm interested to see what they do with the new one.
Yeah. It could be cool. Like I'm down for.
I'm not shitting on it as much as other people. I'm surprised that they called him Eric Draven. Like they're
Yeah.
saying it's going to be the first one. I'm like, if you just gave like a new name, people could have just imagined this is just a different Crow.
Yeah, it was like a different universe or something like that.
Or just
yeah.
like because they say it happens sometimes.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
maybe it was just somebody
for some
else.
reason they all, even though only Eric had that mask, they all go with that makeup
Yeah.
motif. I have to watch City of Angels.
Yeah, I have to watch the sequels.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about those.
But no, because people are kind of shitting on his hair in the new one, but he does kind of have a mullet in the original,
Okay,
the original
yeah,
source
yeah.
material. And I know people are shitting on the tattoos, and I'm like, well, if the 90s were very grunge and that was what they were going for, if you're going to modernize it,
That's a good point.
if you're going to
Yeah.
modernize it, you can go that route because that is like the edgy musician now.
That is very true. People with tattoos are fucking scumbags.
But I'm thinking like Post Malone and shit.
Yeah,
like,
oh,
like all
yeah,
that.
yeah. That's
But at the same time, it's like, is this only a story that really only worked in the 90s? And if
Yeah.
you do update it, it's just, there are some stories that are like timeless, you can update and adapt. And there's other stories where like, that only really existed well in that period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that.
And they pushed it back to August. They pushed it back to Boys Month.
Wow, Boys Month,
Boys
baby. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, God damn it. Let's go work out.
We're going to work out. And if you followed us on Instagram, you probably saw pictures of us working out.
Hell yeah,
If they
baby.
got posted, if we didn't tragically die at the gym.
Well, if we did, keep an eye out on our crows.
Wait by our grave a year later
Yep.
and wait for a crow.
We'll be
One of
rocking
us
and
will
rolling.
come out and we'll be like, do you have a heroin addiction or morphine? Boom,
Yeah,
you're good.
We'll just squeeze you.
All right, bye. Now I got to go murder the 5-pound dumbbells at Planet Fitness. I must right this wrong. Oh, you 5 pound. I did a dumbbell press and I dropped the 5-pound dumbbell. Did I say 5? I meant 50.
50, not 5. Goddamn.
Baby. Joey C, where can we find you?
Folks, you can find me at youtube.com/officialjoeyc. I'd love to have you. I got a lot of goofy stuff on there. Wouldn't you say, Tony? A lot of goofy stuff.
I don't watch your shit.
Good,
You
neither
can
would I.
also Joey.
Tony,
I do watch your videos, okay?
I appreciate that.
But I'm a very busy man and I can't watch them all the time. Joey, when I leave the store, I was thinking of using the front door. All right, that's it. That was so stupid. Like, share, subscribe, book me on Cameo, subscribe to Patreon, become a channel member, do all that fun and stuff, buy merch. Happy birthday, The Crow. Goodbye. The Crow was a really, really good movie. And then they made some sequels. And then they made a remake. And today we're going to find out what Crow movie is the worst Crow movie. Today on Hack the Movies. Oh my God, Logan, I got you in studio.
Yes.
Finally. It's amazing. But Logan, I got a question.
What?
Who the hell is right next to you? Properly introduce yourself. Right now.
I am Becca, the other half of Video Vila. Usually I am hiding when Logan does these other episodes with other people. So here we are today.
I can barely get us on our own show.
That's true.
You should feel you should feel pleasure.
When Hack the
Tony.
Movies comes calling, you got to come run here.
What more fun thing to do?
Yeah. So The Crow. What a great movie that first one was. I covered it a while back for its 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
I picked up the 4K Blu-ray for the 30th anniversary, and I got to see it at the Mahoning Drive-In. I'm all crowed out this year, and I was like, well, you know what? Might as well check out those other Crow movies, especially the new one in theaters.
The mistake you made.
And who better to help me than Logan? Because you're a big Crow fan.
Yes, I love the first one. Big fan of the first one, and the comic, what you have right here.
Yes.
And I got to meet James O'Barr because it was been my passion to meet him ever since I was 13 going to Hot Topic. So when I met him, it was funny. I literally said that to him. He's like, yeah, I kept the lights on there for a little bit. But yeah, it's the first one is in my top 5 favorite films. I know it's not the best film in the world, but for some reason I connect to it and I like it a lot.
Man, you really love The Crow. I should have had you on the first episode instead of loser Joey C.
You probably should.
What was I thinking? What was I thinking? What are your thoughts on The Crow?
I really like the original.
Yeah.
The original's a rewatch that I enjoy every time. We watch it once a year, I'd say.
Yeah, we
And
watch it a couple times a
It
year.
still hits every time. Brandon Lee's great. You can't
Yeah.
not love Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
It's like I said in that review, I'm like, it's still solid. There's some clunky things in there, but that was mostly because of forced rewrites, which you had to do.
Yeah.
There's some awkwardness here or there, but for the most part, considering what happened in the last minute rewrites and
yeah.
everything, it works really, really well. It's a good adaptation of the comic. Every change they make works. Although the one change, they're basically like, let's just steal the plot of RoboCop, where the bad guys, the street level bad guys, work for a bigger bad guy. I'm like, that's just RoboCop, buddy. But it works. It's one of those things where all the changes they made, I'm like, yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
The book
100%.
is kind of all over the place sometimes.
It is, yeah, and you could tell because it took James O'Barr 10 years to write the book.
Yeah.
So you can tell where it's okay, maybe if you would have written this in I don't know, in 6 months versus over 10 years, it would have been a little bit more.
He's all like, and then he's dreaming about a horse, maybe.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, he's got to kill some guys. I should get back to that.
And the artwork's super inconsistent. too.
Yeah, the artwork that's my
Very
favorite part.
inconsistent.
And again, I got the special edition that has extra stuff in it. It's just all over the place.
Oh no, because there would be some things if you watch interviews where he's like, yeah, I learned how to draw by looking at Michelangelo's David. I'm like, I see that in this issue. I don't know what I'm looking at here. But hey, he can draw better than me, so.
But yeah, first movie comes out, huge hit. Huge. And they're like, well, we have to do a second one. And no one in the room at the time went, well, we don't have to do a second one. We would just make other movies. And they went, nope, we have to do a second one. So
And we also have to cut the budget by $2 million.
by $2 million. Well, maybe that was the original budget of The Crow before they had to make a bunch of last minute
Yeah.
changes. They're like, well, this time we don't have to make the skull cowboy costume that we're not
Right.
going to use. So they did Crow, City of Angels. They got director Tim Pope in there and writer David S. Goyer
Yeah.
went on to make some.
You know him. You know him personally.
I know him personally. He developed the story for Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, and Demonic Toys.
Yes, and Demonic Toys. Those are his 2 claims to fame. And I guess Blade. But anyway. So our good friend of the show, Cecil from Good Bad Flicks, did a whole video breaking down what happened with this film. And I highly encourage you all watch that video because we're not going to get into it too much. This was going to be a very different movie. We'll touch on it here and there
Yeah.
when we have to. But one thing I learned from that is that they were actually asking fans what they wanted to see in a movie, a sequel if there was a follow-up. And to their credit, they tried to do something that was different. And then Harvey Weinstein said, what? Make it like the other one. After they had already shot the movie.
Yeah, 100%. It's.
Worst time to make that decision, I think.
I think Tim Pope said he still has never seen it. He's still never seen the final cut.
I don't blame him. I actually watched this one a lot. They played this on HBO a lot.
Oh my God, so much. I saw this one before I saw the original. Well, I saw a clip of the original when I was little, and then I saw this one, and then I realized it wasn't the original.
Yeah.
And then when I finally saw the original, when I was 12 or something like that, and I was like, oh, this is a movie.
Yeah. But before we go any further, Becca, can you read the back of the box
Yes.
for Crow, City of Angels?
Of course. So we have the fast-moving, action-packed sequel to The Crow explodes on screen with hot new stars Vincent Perez and sexy Mia Kirshner. After a brutal attack by an evil drug cartel, the murder victim, Perez, is brought back to life by a mysterious crow. With the help of a beautiful woman named Sarah, he exacts revenge on his killers one by one, only to realize his enemy, the lethal Judah, has discovered the one weakness that can destroy him forever. Powered by sizzling, chart-topping soundtrack, The Crow, City of Angels, is an intense and exhilarating motion picture experience. And now, the exclusive director's cut features never-seen-before footage, hot music video, and a rare Brandon Lee interview.
Well, yeah, let's put a million quotes around director's cut. Not a director's cut.
The Weinstein cut.
That's gracious.
So the things that are different, because everyone says it's just like a rehash of the first one, but it wasn't meant to be. It's not lovers anymore. It's father and son.
Which I like.
Yeah.
I like that.
That changed right away. It's like, okay, this is different enough. Well,
it shifts the dynamic.
Yeah, it's a different type of mourning and whatnot. He is a mechanic, which is something. So they took things that were left out of the comic, and one of them was like the whole mechanic thing. Because Eric was a mechanic in the original, not a rock star. They changed that. I like that. So buried in this movie is a plot line that's completely abandoned, where he's like, wait a minute, but now that I'm back, I kind of like this girl.
Yeah.
And I want to stay on Earth with her. So that adds an extra element to it, which gets swept away. And then we find out that there are bad guys who are aware of the Crow and like magic and stuff and how they can use it for their purposes. And like I said, Harvey Weinstein went, no, tone all that down. Edit everything to look how it's supposed to look. I don't know. How do you feel about this film? We'll go down the line.
Yeah.
To be honest, man, I know there's probably a good movie in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There are things that are cool. There is just a vibe, this movie, that I just don't like, and I can't shake it. It's just, it's overall, like I said, the concepts are good, but just the way people act and like, just like I use it's very European feeling. And it's
Vincent Perez was like a big European star.
Yeah,
they brought him over
yeah.
a little, maybe a little too early. Like,
they were a little overzealous with that.
Well, I mean, Hollywood loves to do that. They're like, "What's his name? Arnold? Does he have a good American accent?" No. I'll make him the star of the movie. Well, I just said no.
Well, there's certain things, like especially in the movie, where like the one part with the whole Judah is like, oh, there can't be any witnesses. I'm like, there are no cops in this city.
Yeah,
what do you give a shit that there's a witness?
I don't think we ever see a cop in this movie at all.
No, it doesn't. You don't have to kill the little boy. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, like I said, there is a glimmer of a good movie in there, but the overall thing just doesn't.
Well, one of the things that helps, I think, is that they got some people from the original film to come back. Like I think the production designer came back. I think the guy who did the music. So it looks and sounds great. It's a very good looking movie. The miniatures look really, really great.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The God Saves, like the little miniatures of the building and stuff like that. That's still almost if it actually is better than the Brandon Lee one.
Yeah, the miniature wise, I agree with that. Where do you land on this one?
Yeah, I would say the same. Like it has potential there, but they never actually like meet that potential.
Yeah.
Like it definitely still has the same like dark aesthetic that the original Crow has, but it just kind of like leaves you hanging, in my opinion. I do like the father-son dynamic because there's always like that's always going to be heartfelt or whatever. But same thing, like he literally contemplates just like, my kid, nah, fuck that. I like her. Like, and that you're like, well, hold on a second. Like, I was with you until this point, and now I'm not with you here. And then, like you said, they just drop that plot, like as if it didn't even happen. So all in all, like it's okay, but it doesn't meet that expectation of like the one that the first one left.
Yeah,
it kind of like it slowly takes a few steps down.
You're talking about acting, okay? Mira Kirshner is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
she is drop dead gorgeous in this. But holy shit, every scene.
Yeah,
her eyes are trying to explode out of her head.
I wrote that down. I'm like, why is Sarah acting so stupid? That's literally my note.
She's just, every single scene, she's just wide-eyed. Like I'm just like,
don't
what the
know.
fuck is happening? Why is she like that?
And then like that tilts her head and just like why are you doing? You're not an owl.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of shots of just eyes in this.
Yeah, and it's a facial expression that you're like, there's no thoughts back there. Like there's nothing. This is just a blank look. Like it's
Like
almost
a buffering.
yeah, it's almost like when a moment like it's like, did you forget your lines? Are you lost? Like what are you doing?
So yeah, Sarah grew up. She kept the cat.
Gabriel, yeah.
The cat's still kicking. She kept the tragedy mask, which I wrongfully called a jester mask in the other review. Sorry, no one called me out on it. I noticed it. Yeah, and for some reason, I guess because of her experience with Eric, she is drawn to whatever supernatural force allows the crow to come back. So she's kind of, because remember, the first movie would have had a person explaining things to Eric.
Yes.
But then Brandon Lee got shot and they went, sorry, Michael Berryman, we're rewriting it. We're just not going to explain shit. And it actually almost works a little bit better.
Yeah, I like the you know, we don't. Yeah, the thing is, it was just a revenge mission. That's it. You don't need. He just needs to get the job done, and that's it. That's all it works. And this one, you could tell. Obviously, there was some point to it.
Yeah.
Why it might need to be explained based off the original ending that they were going to have.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes. So she's there to kind of explain things to him. You couldn't do the Skull Cowboy in this one? I just want to see the fucking Skull Cowboy. Like, that's going to be a running theme. Like, why?
It was pretty cool. To be honest, I thought we could have got something like that in the new one.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. I was very mad about that. Yeah, so she's there to explain things to him. And then this becomes like a theme with these sequels. How are they going to get him to put the makeup on? They got lucky with this one. They're like, this girl was around for the first one, so she's doing it as a tribute to Eric. She draws the thing on him, and he never goes, what are you doing? Stop it. I'm not that guy. What the fuck? Stop making me like that guy. I don't want to paint my face. The crow himself, Ash, he's okay.
Yeah,
he's okay.
I'm not big with it. Like, I don't like the why is your belly showing in your shirt?
Well, I was gonna say he looks like if Joey C designed the crow, it would be this 100%. He looks like he plays in the band Him or something like that.
Yeah,
I did like how his jacket had like two little flaps that were supposed to look like wings.
Yeah, they did that on purpose, so he would do that when he rode the motorcycle.
Yeah, but that's part of like the rehashiness of it. It's like, oh, his face is also painted. Oh, and he's also wearing kind of the same thing. I do like his superhero suit up.
And then he feels the power surging through him when he grabs his fist. It's like, the leather didn't add anything to that.
But like I said, it's not his fault. He was struggling with the English language a little bit. But it's mostly okay until he's trying to be cocky and jokey. And it's just... It's rough. Like
him yelling is the worst.
His yelling is really bad when he shows up at the jerk off booth. Which, if those things were real, I guess that was before our time. We
got one in Baltimore.
I know where I'm going next time. Well, I just want to experience. I'm like, were this like a real thing?
I was looking up arcades on Google. And those things are called arcades.
Oh yeah.
And I looked it up. I'm like, I don't think this is the arcade I'm looking for.
I've always seen those in shows and movies, and I'm just like, I've been to some skeevy places, but I've never seen that as an option anywhere.
20 minutes down the road from our house next time you come by.
Well, isn't it like, is it Amsterdam or something where they have the red light district and it's the women behind like the windows and stuff?
Yeah.
And so I guess it's kind of like a twist.
It's sort of like that, like
bit,
a peep show sort of thing.
You get the red backlight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to buy tokens and everything. Because that was one of the Google complaints. They're like, when are the girls there to buy tokens? I'm like, I don't think you need girls to play.
Well, the point is,
Street Fighter.
In that scene, he like shows up instead of the girl. And he's like, "Do you want me, baby?" And it's like, ah.
Okay, I actually kind of like that part. I thought that was funny.
Do you want me, baby?
Yeah, so his whole cockiness didn't really work for me. And this actor, though, would redeem himself. He was one of the vampires in Queen of the Damned, which I reviewed. So yeah, our hero, maybe we're not too hot on our heroes, but we got some great villains. We have early Tom Jane.
Yep.
Thomas Jane. He's the one in the jerk-off booth.
And the thing is, they said he's modeled after glam rock. I'm like, What? I've never seen someone wear a Bozo the Clown wig.
His wig.
No.
I didn't realize that was Tom Jane for a long
Right?
time.
Oh my God! Until you read the IMDb.
Yeah, and you're like, oh shit, that's Tom Jane. Yeah, his wig. I think his wig falls off in a scene, and they just left it in. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The late Thuy Trang, the Yellow Ranger.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Rest in
And
peace.
of course, earlier today, I said, Tony, you have like 5 action figures of the Yellow Ranger. You should put them on the set. And then I just never did. Yeah, her big scene got completely trimmed down. She was
Yeah.
supposed to have an extended fight scene with the Crow. Because 1, she actually knew martial arts.
Yeah.
And 2, she's the one who actually killed his son.
Yeah.
So it would have had more of an impact. And then they went, nah, cut it down.
They cut it in the comic. Like, did you want me to talk about that? Like,
Yeah, you can
okay.
talk about the comic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the comic is like you were talking about the original Vision. If you want the majority of the original Vision, if you do buy the comic, that is like the original like screenplay because a lot of things that were taken out of the movie are in the comic.
Which happens a lot with comic adaptations.
Yeah.
Because they're made ahead of time. And they're like, oh, we changed everything. I'm like, well, fuck you. It's out.
Or like even if you open it up, it looks like Eric Draven in the comic. The guy drew him like Eric Draven. Which he looks.
Whoopsies.
I mean, it's not the best artwork, but
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah. So like there's one scene where she stabs him to explain you can't die. That's in the comic. That's not in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that from Cecil's video. That's
Yeah.
why, like, when he leaves Sarah's, he's just grabbing his belly.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah. And that's the one thing is like that fight scene. Unfortunately, the comic is kind of a streamline of that
Yeah.
director's cut, so it is very short too.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But yeah, she's basically Bai Ling's character from the first one.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not really. They kind of split Bai Ling's character. They're like magic lady and then the Asian psychopath. We're gonna split those characters in half.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing is they add that element to the movie. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why can't we just have like why do we have to add so much? Can he just be the only supernatural part of the movie?
Well, I mean, the Bai Ling in the first one, they needed like someone who was aware of like the spirit world.
Which they had
Yeah.
to kick back on that because they said that role was technically racist.
In the first one?
In the first one, yeah, Brandon Lee was kind of fighting for them to take it out of the. They dumbed it down a little bit. He was trying to fight.
Oh yeah, it was probably way more offensive.
Yeah.
I could probably see that. But yeah, I mean, the original ending of the first Crow. I don't think they were going to do the whole them shooting the Crow. It was literally the Skull Cowboys like, no, your mission's done.
Yeah,
because I guess he just doesn't know about Top Dollar.
yeah.
I guess because he was indirectly responsible and not directly. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you're done. And he's just like, all right, if you save Sarah, you have no powers. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's what the what's the villain? I just said his name. What's the villain's name again?
In,
the City of Angels.
Judah.
Judah. So that's the one thing is when I don't know if that's a scene that was added because that's not part of the comic, but like where that the scene of him in the car, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, Judah sent the order to have him killed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those added scenes they must.
It feels
added
very added,
because
yeah.
it's like it doesn't make sense because technically once he killed all the killers, he could just go back.
Well, again, they not only did they re-edit it, they did reshoot. So I think
Yeah.
they added that to be more like the first one.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, we got Iggy in here.
Finally, he was supposed to be in the first one.
Yes, he was supposed to be the first one. Apparently, the Crow was somewhat modeled after him, I heard.
It was shit. I forgot his name, but Peter Murphy and Iggy Pop were the two as Peter Murphy's face and Iggy Pop's body for the body the Crow. And that the Michelangelo David picture that he put in there, that is definitely you can like you look at those two and you're like, oh, 100%.
Yeah. He has one of the best line reads in history. You think I'm afraid of you?
You think I'm afraid?
I remember for years I was like, what did he say? I'm like, I had to like slow it. I'm like, oh, he said afraid. It just seems like he was grunting for a long period of time.
He can't this and also this is like one of had he done Tank Girl already? So he's probably been acting for like a hot minute now. This probably wasn't his like first movie.
No, this probably wasn't his first movie, but I like his character arc of I got the wrong tattoo. He's like, these look like two demons, and everyone's like, no, that's a bird, buddy.
That's a fucking bird. that is a bird. It's not two demons fighting. Not one bit.
He was pretty fun, and they have a fun little like motorcycle chase or something at some point.
Yeah.
His death scene was pretty cool. They really like the fire outline of the crow in the first one. They're like, we got to find more excuses to have crow outlines.
I know, right? The things they came up with throughout all these movies, it's like, oh my god.
The flowers?
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen.
So, like, a crazy lady is just throwing flowers into the water as he's floating, and they shape like the crow. And then Thuy gets thrown out, and her blood splatters like a crow.
Oh my god! This movie is it's a movie.
Again, Tom Jane, he's there. His thing is like he likes to videotape everything.
Yeah,
it's like his favorite thing in the world. Then you got the big. I'm sure there were a few others. Who cares? They got Judah. They got Judah, who is a little interesting because he's aware of this supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
And they cut all that backstory out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually that actually, for surprisingly, that's not in the comic. And I don't know if, like I said, if the comic is it's like very force fed to you, like really fast to get the entire movie because it's only 3 issues.
Yeah.
Like I just read the Django comic. That's 7 issues, and it's the movie.
Yeah.
It's the original screenplay.
Jesus.
So like the fact that this is 3 issues is like, okay, this is like a 30-minute long movie. If you think about it. But yeah, they took that out too. But they left the line in too.
Yeah, they left the line about how he went to hell.
Yeah.
That I didn't know until Cecil's video. I'm like, wait, he really went to? I'm like, because that line, I'm like, could you elaborate? What did you see down there?
Yeah.
Did you run into Spawn? What did you do down there?
That's the thing is like the fact that they even left it in the comic. I'm like, well, then why don't we have at least 2 pages of scene?
Yeah.
It makes it still makes no sense.
Yeah, and it would explain why he has that like vision person lady.
Which is another thing that they add to the movie. It's like, why?
Who in this cut becomes a good guy, but they are still a bad guy in the original version.
Yeah.
But since they edited it to make her seem like a good guy, it's like, why did she decide to become a good guy all of a sudden?
Literally until up until the end, and then she's like, I'm gonna help her.
You're not the only prisoner.
Yeah.
No, I don't work that way.
Girl, I feel you chose to be here. I did not choose to be here. I'm a little confused.
So, yeah, so like I said, it's kind of like The Crow. He kills them one by one.
Yeah.
And then he has to fight the bad guy. Again, this time they straight up kill the physical crow.
Yeah.
And they take its blood, and that gives Judah crow powers, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, Ash is just a normal guy now. Because in the first movie, the crow wasn't fully dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, Eric could maybe be killed, but as long as that crow's alive, he should be fine. But then I guess the spirit world went, uh-oh, we better send some extra crows down there to supercharge him. And then he shoots a bunch of crows at Judah, who turns into a CGI blob and then disappears. Because he was originally supposed to have all his flesh and stuff ripped off. Yeah, but then they were like, we're not animating that.
Yeah, that's in the comic.
Yeah. No, they're like, throw like a blur effect. And
Let's just half-ass it at this point. We made it to the end.
Yes.
Once again, it's like you made this super successful movie that made you so much money. Let's make a sequel and take $2 million away from it. That makes sense.
And then I bet you they like were written into a corner. Maybe they couldn't get Mia Kirshner. They're like, oh wait, we're stuck with the girl dies ending. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a sad ending because it's like, oh, that lady died. Well, at least I get to hang out with my dead son again. Bye. It's like, oh.
Yeah. The dead son that I was just about to just be like, nah, fuck it. I like it here.
That's another thing is I don't like that ending at all.
The
fact of like, no. You go with your son, dude. Like, no, fucking, you barely know this bitch.
Yeah, that was a little forced, the whole romance. But I mean, it would have been an interesting ending where like he's just doomed to be on Earth forever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how the comic is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something different. It's something it's like, hey, we're still getting the whole revenge stuff that we liked and the crow visuals, but like the story, it's sad the story was a little bit different and it was chopped up. This is my Alien 3 of the Crow franchise where like I still kind of like it. I'm like, I love the visuals. I love the feel of it.
Yeah.
I love what they were going for. And it just sucks knowing that there is a better movie. But unlike Alien 3, we haven't gotten that better movie. Whereas Alien 3, you can now get the assembly cut. Even looks like Alien 3 with the grungy, greenish, yellowish tint. Yeah, they almost got it.
I wonder. That's one thing I should have got a ROM of the game and played the game.
I was gonna say I've seen the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh, it's all. If you open this up, it's just full of game advertisements and stuff like that, and them trying to sell Crow promotional shit.
But yeah, that's all I got to say for Crow City of Angels. It tried, and unfortunately it failed. Any last words on Crow City of Angels before we move on?
No, I feel like that's spot on. It was a close shot, but they missed.
I understand that they were trying to do something different, and if they actually succeeded and got to see something different, that would have been like, I guess, okay, it's not a complete knockoff. So we did try to do something different. We just didn't succeed. But the fact that it was just like butchered to make it look like the original, and it just made it 10 times worse.
Yeah,
because it's like obviously you're comparing it to the original, trying to make another or like the original, and that just I think really tanks it a lot, to be honest.
Yes, and then after that they went, what are we going to do next? And they went, let's remake the first one as a TV show that then gets canceled. We'll talk about that some other time. We're not including that in the movies, but that was Crow Stairway to Heaven, which was the Eric Draven story again. The Skull Cowboy's in there, but he doesn't look like a skull.
I wish I would have bought, when Movie Gallery went out of business, there was a box of VHS tapes, and I saw it right there, had it in my hands, and for some reason I didn't buy it. That would have been something nice to have.
How dare you? Some Crow fan you are.
I had a Wicked Prayer screener. They didn't even make it on VHS, but I had a VHS screener of it, and my mom gave it to Goodwill.
But yeah, so City of Angels didn't impress anyone. The show got canceled. But you know, how are they going to fix the Crow? We need some salvation for the Crow. Which is when we got the Crow's salvation. Could you please read the back of the box, Logan?
All right. A stylish mix of thrills and chills. Hot star Kristen Dunst, Bring It On, and Eric Mabius, Cruel Intentions star in The Crow's Salvation, the third exciting motion picture in The Crow legacy. Wrongly executed for the murder of his girlfriend, Alex Corvez returns from the dead to set out and find the real killer. Aided by his girlfriend's sister, Dunst, and under the guidance of a mysterious crow, he unmasked a tangled web of corruption and deceit. Alex seeks not only retribution for the injustice, but the redemption for the darkness in his soul. A must-see for Crow fans.
Oh, it was a must-see. So I didn't see this, or maybe I saw... Yeah, that coaster sucks. Sorry. Maybe I saw this back in the day. I don't really remember it. But I watched it last night. And I'm like, all right, it's time for Crow's Salvation. Let's do this. Oh, buddy. They tried. I will say, what's his name? The writer. I don't remember what the director did, but Chip Johannesson. He was like a writer and executive producer on like a bunch of shows that I like, and the one that I talk about a lot, Millennium, which no one fucking remembers.
Well, he did Homeland.
And Homeland, yes, which I didn't watch. But
apparently it's really good. He did like 33 episodes of it.
Nice. And I will say, like, on a script level, it's not too bad.
No, I'll agree with that,
Yeah.
to be honest. I mean, there is a good movie in there.
Yeah.
We didn't get one, but there's a good movie in there.
The script, toward the end, it gets a little goofy with Fred Ward's character.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait, he knows about crows? What the fuck? But yeah, there's a bit of a mystery, which I guess I knew the dad was in on it, but that might be because he was played by William Atherton, who's always a douchebag, so I just don't trust him right away. But I didn't know exactly where it was going to go. And then they almost fake you out with an ending where it makes it seem like the crow is the bad guy. And I'm like, would have been kind of interesting. And then they don't commit to it. But yes, my favorite thing, how are they going to get him in the crow makeup? So this time they put him in the electric chair and they have like a leather mask over him and it fries him. But when he comes back as the crow, he fixes his burnt face. Except for the scars around his eye and mouth, which imitate the crow makeup.
Yeah.
That was a stretch.
Yeah.
That was a stretch.
I will say the scene of him ripping his face off, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I mean, that's different. But yeah.
See, they should have kept Sarah alive. So she's like, and now I work at the coroner's office. Yeah. Oh no, another crow. Hold on, let me get my
Gotta paint it.
But yeah, okay. So where do you land on Salvation? What do you think of Salvation? What are your thoughts on this? When did you first see it?
I saw this. Shoot, what it came out 2000. So like,
Were you wearing the makeup and you're like, they're gonna get it right this time?
No, not that early. Not that early. But no. I saw this probably when I think Miramax put out the 3 DVD box set. So I bought the three DVD.
In a pack.
Yeah. So I had that.
Yeah.
I got that for like a birthday gift, and that's when I first saw it. I was like, oh, there's a third one. When I first saw it, I was okay with it. Rewatching it, it was just a rough rewatch.
Yeah.
I realized like, man, this is not a good.
This is gonna be the problem with all of them. After the first one, they just feel like generic revenge flicks.
Yeah.
But they have to force in the Crow supernatural thing, and it's always forced in real awkwardly.
Yeah.
When the rest of the movie, it's just those two, the generic action revenge and the supernatural Crow thing never quite jives in any of these afterwards.
No.
Well, did you know who was originally going to direct the third one?
Okay, well, there's a few. Apparently, Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one was going to be kind of interesting. Like, but they kept on dicking him around, and eventually they just ended up giving it to somebody else after he'd been actually working on the film itself.
And then he still worked with them for the Halloween remakes. And then I heard about one that was going to have like DMX and Eminem in it.
Oh no, that's the fourth.
Oh, that was going to be the fourth one.
I got some juicy stuff about that one.
Okay, good. So yeah, Crow Salvation. Were you like, this is the one that's gonna fix it? Did you wear makeup when you first
No, I didn't wear makeup. I'm surprised Logan didn't when we went to the movies.
I almost put on makeup. I have white makeup and black makeup from Halloween leftovers.
Yeah, really what sold me is I love Bring It On, so like I'm biased. I'm actually going to come back and that's what we'll review. A little one-on-one. I will say I like it better than The City of Angels, but I don't like it better than the first.
Oh, obviously.
Just like I like the whole like love story and revenge for relationship. I also like love kind of a murder mystery because it does juke you out and it's like, well, did he kill her? Like who the fuck killed her? Because it looked like you did. Like, and also the mental aspect where he's trying to like convince him like I forget the guy's name, but the higher up police officer guy.
Fred Ward's character. Yeah,
where he's like shoving the picture in his face and he's starting to like change the way he sees it and he's like mentally juking him out. I like that shit, like the mental part of it. But it's still a miss. It's still like skims by and you're like, nah, not the spot.
To be honest, I think if you threw like another 10 million at this, you can make a good movie.
You probably could. I
really do. If with the same structure, if you made this with a better budget and actually got at least a couple better actors.
Yeah.
I really think, because some of the stuff like the helicopter scene, like why'd you even spend money on that?
I was gonna say I was shocked watching it. I'm like, that's a real fucking helicopter.
Yeah.
Like why?
I'm like, oh, that actually looks really good until it blows up. You're like, okay, well, that didn't look good at all.
Exactly. You could have saved, you could have invested it into like better lighting or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like I don't like I said, there's parts of this movie that can be good, and I really think like I don't know, it just sucks because it just seems so cheap and so low budget.
Yeah. I will say there were parts that I was appreciating. Like at first, I'm just like, well, he doesn't look like the Crow.
Yeah.
Because he's wearing his prison gear. He's wearing like a Michael Myers jumpsuit. But for a minute, I was just like, you know what? I like that they took a chance and went with a different look. I actually don't mind this. And then he finds a goddamn trench coat.
Yeah.
And then it looks weird on him because he's still wearing the jumpsuit and the short hair. I'm like, this isn't working. Why did you guys feel the need to do like it was It was fine before that. I adjusted to it, but like
his face, to be honest, I don't hate his face.
I hate his face.
Yeah, I'm with Tony on that one. I'm like, nope, take it off. Take that
well,
face
his
off.
face, he just always, he's in the Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
He always has like a weird looking face, that guy. No offense to that guy. His facial expressions look weird. And when you add the dumb Crow makeup, everything looks like this.
And his acting, oh my God, his acting.
Yeah.
Spark, gas, bad combination.
Well, the say something, then pause, then say something, then pause. It's like, oh my God, man, come on.
He does come off as kind of an asshole. I'm like, I can see why people thought he was the murderer. He's kind of a douchebag.
Oh, yeah.
we were talking about effects with the helicopter, but what did you think of the one effect where he shoots the back of his head off?
Oh my god.
And then like you just see the back of his head just rebuild itself in that weird green screen.
Well, then all of a sudden it also doesn't realize what movie it wants to be because it's over 30 something minutes, 40 minutes into the movie. Then it gets super gory out of nowhere. It's like,
yeah,
why is this all saved to the end of the movie? I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, we got a young Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Fresh off Jumanji. No, it was a few years after Jumanji. It was after Bring It On, though. Before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was like 2 years before Spider-Man. You think this is what got her the part in Spider-Man? They were like, well, she was one of the okay actors.
Yeah.
We already saw her in a green Komodo, so let's put her in a red one
Yeah.
and have Spider-Man save her.
Who can we get for Mary Jane? We have the most okay actor in Crow Salvation, not called Fred Ward. Let's do it. If Fred Ward was a woman, he would be perfect for Mary Jane. We'll just have to settle for Kristen Dunst. Yeah, she's fine in it. That's also a unique thing where it's like it was his girlfriend, her sister. And I like that for once he's not killed the same time as the other person. That was kind of unique.
Well, that concept, like that is a pretty cool story. Him dying by falsely accused of his lady's murder. That is a cool, interesting story.
Mm-hmm. What's the time frame on bringing people back? Because Eric, it was a year.
Yeah, it was about a year after his death on the anniversary.
And then like Ash, it was just like the next day.
Yeah, literally, he because Danny, like, they even started decomposing.
Yeah, Danny's not even decomposed.
And it always makes it seem like it happens like they hit the wall, like they die, they throw him in the river, but then the movie seems like they throw him in the river and then like immediately he's like heading back up for his afterlife. You're like no time in between.
Yeah, there's that, and then this is just like they literally put him in the freezer and he just wakes up. I'm like, why did they take Eric a year? What was the point of that?
Like, what the fuck were you doing, Eric? Just chilling? Like, how important was this?
So yeah, I mean, he's got a little bit of a mystery to go through. He wants to know who killed his girlfriend, who was the goth looking chick from Halloween H2O.
Yeah,
that's all I know her from. The mystery was a little convoluted. So basically, her dad was in business with some bad dudes. She went to the weird webcam dungeon. Early webcams, that was fun. And she witnessed a murder. And then she ran away, and then she was weird with her boyfriend, who I'm sure has a name. And then they killed her and they framed him. And all he knows is that someone with a scar on his hand left the knife in his car. He didn't look at his face or anything. He just saw that.
That
What were the bad guys doing with the? I know they killed someone. What was their business other than weird webcam stuff?
I don't know. Because that's another thing is why would the police chief be there in the first place? We didn't see him. So why would he be there to stash the knife there? It just didn't make it. The tying someone else that you don't know yet into it just doesn't make sense for this movie.
And then like the police chief is like pissed at the guys for like getting people investigating them. But it's like, why did the police chief like show off his scar at the execution? And why is Eric or whoever his name is? What is his name? Well, his real name is Eric. The actor's name is Eric. That's
Alex.
Alex.
Alex, yeah.
Why is Alex so focused on his arm and never looks at his head? Look at his head.
And also, like, what the fuck is he doing to his arm? Just putting nails into his arm, and why?
Well,
like,
he puts nails into someone else to trick the guy.
But it's like, so now you're adding like a self-mutilation turn onto it.
I don't know. I think they're just going for some kind of like dark shit.
Well, it's like, so you get you have the first one or whatever, and you have like that group of bad guys, and then you get City of Angels where it's like a little culty, but not like full culty. And then you take a turn on this, and now you're like, bad guy cops with also like a mutilation / webcam kink thing. What are we doing here? Where are we going?
I know they were like crooked cops and whatnot, but toward it gets weird at the end. So they fake out the crow, they kill him, or they think they kill him, and then they're gonna like dissect his body in the taxidermy room because he said he's heard of people like this before. And then he's got some like lady with him who's also in the know with all of this.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's like, I feel like we added a lot of lore at the end here.
Yes.
That's not being fully fleshed out. Like, what's his deal? Like, why does he care about any of this?
Literally, they should have just like all that BDSM, like body mutilation stuff. They could have just kept that out of the movie because it serves no purpose in the movie at all, except for the fact of like, give us an excuse to fake his death.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only real purpose it serves.
Yeah. Speaking of BDSM stuff and whatnot, I was just to circle back to City of Angels. The weird, he just has like girls in gimp suits just off in the corner.
Yeah.
And then he's got a hallway of just girls in sheets going like this.
Yeah.
It's such a weird element. And then they sadly hold on to it through the other movies. And you're like, you really tried here and it didn't work.
Oh, yeah. They focus a lot on titties on the third one.
Oh, yeah. They went all in on titties.
Hey, we got titties.
Which I'm sure we all appreciated. I was like, well, you know, some extra points for this. Some extra points. But no, the lead, Alex, he's just not good in this.
No.
Yeah.
Like I said, they should have just I would say invested. Hell, if they would have invested a little bit more money in a better actor, the movie could itself be better if they got a better character to play Alex.
Yeah, I just can't get over his face. Like when he sees the arm at the end, he's like, it's over.
Yeah.
And so now the fact that you think it's over, you're gonna die. Like you're given. That doesn't make sense. But technically, it's not over.
Yeah.
So
the crow should come out and talk, but they won't let the crow talk in any of these movies.
God, they should have done that.
The comics, he talks constantly.
I know that. That's one.
He won't shut the fuck up in the comics. To be honest,
I know that sounds hokey, but to be honest, I mean we're already doing stupid BDSM stuff. Like you can have a talking bird. You can add a talking bird to this.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, on the story level, I like that he's trying to solve his own murder. He doesn't know who everyone is. He's questioning them.
Yeah.
I think at one point they start killing each other just to get everyone off his tail. They throw the one guy out the window.
Yeah, and then they kill her dad because whatever, I guess, in case he leaks that information. So then they're all turning on each other, and it's like a who's who. And then too many twists and turns. It drags you through too much.
And I still don't understand, why was her whole dad in on it? Like why?
That was a good question.
Why did her dad be okay with the innocent man dying, even though you know who killed your daughter? Like why are you okay with that? I don't get it.
I feel like a lot was left out. Maybe this was just a first draft. I feel like it needed to be polished a little bit more.
And then also, Kirsten Dunst has so many chances to, shoot people.
Yeah.
But, every single time just, doesn't do it. And you're like, just literally, pull the trigger, girl. You let him get so close to you that he just, snatched it out of your hand.
Also, they don't recognize him. His face is not that much different.
Know, right?
I think I know you. It's like, you watched this guy die.
Literally yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday you saw him. But even Kirsten Dunst, she's just like, you're friends with that guy. You even look like him. It's the same person.
Yes. The stupidity of these people. I'm like, he doesn't even have face paint. It's just scars.
Yeah.
So he literally is the same fucking dude with scars.
Same hair, everything.
Same clothes that he died in. And you guys still can't... come on now. You ain't that stupid.
And also, all of a sudden, now that he's dead, he, channels his inner Spider-Man. And, so wants to put up on these weird poses and, hang out on, freaking, tombstones and shit. And, I just don't understand. What direction were you going with this?
And then there's the scene where he's trying to prove that he didn't kill her. So he gives Kirsten Dunst the memory of the murder.
Yeah.
But then he's yelling at her during it, as if
Yes.
she was responsible. What are you doing? Could you not, you asshole?
Yeah.
I give you the power of her. As long as you have this locket, you have your connection to her.
But then he's also 57 stab wounds. He's giving her all the feelings that her sister felt. And it's just damn, dude, she don't deserve that.
Yeah,
She's not the bad guy, Alex, you asshole. Oh, yeah, the locket. You're connected to her. And they're but when you give him the locket back, he'll get his powers back.
And then also they sew her mouth shut at the end of the movie and
Oh, I felt bad for her. It looked like she had a mustache the whole end of that film. I felt really bad. I'm
They did it
oh, why did you do that to the poor girl?
That's funny.
Yeah, I would have just done duct tape. I'm like, are we really gonna leave? It looks like a
Yeah,
mustache.
again with the mutilation, it's this is a far reach here.
Yeah. Well, at least she's fine at the end of the cemetery. Her mouth is completely healed.
Yeah, it never happened.
Yeah. 2 comic book movies that end in a cemetery with her.
Yep.
It felt like I was watching Spider-Man all over. Yeah, I agree with you. Bigger budget, maybe a couple more rewrites. They might have had something, but
They had some that had Walton Goggins.
they had Walton Goggins. Oh, and the douchey cop in it, the touchy-feely cop, that is the vampire cop in the Blade TV series, which I am covering on Patreon.
Is that the Dal Midkiff?
I think so. I forget
Pet
his
Cemetery.
Is he also in that?
Is it? If that's the guy I think of, like that's the guy from Pet Cemetery, which is the worst part of Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, he's the guy who's trying to like get it on with the girls, and then
I think if I can remember correctly, I think that's the I believe that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's we're going through every episode of the Blade TV series over on Patreon, or if you're a channel member at the $2 tier, you get every episode of the show and all the other bonus videos I've done.
No, y'all need to go with the $10 tier.
Yeah, well, the $10.
I'm gonna upsell you. Get the $10.
The if you get the $10 tier, you can call into live shows and then maybe end up in the studio one day. Who knows?
One day.
never know.
Who knows? At the $10 tier, you might be able to prove yourself more loyal than Gil from One Take, who doesn't show up to live episodes. Did you see Alien Isolation? I shit on him again because he wasn't going to do the other one. He's like, I gave you a heads up this time, man. Then he came on my show and he did a flop episode. Anyway, yes, he is the douchey vampire cop in Blaze. So he was douchey cop is like his thing.
Yeah.
Now he's mostly like a voice actor. But Walton Goggins is in it. Is there anyone else of like note in this besides Fred Ward, William Atherton? Which Fred Ward we did every Tremors movie a long time ago. Check out that. It's just William Atherton, Fred Ward, Kirsten Dunst, and then Walton Goggins. But like no one really.
And that's like early Walton Goggins.
Yes. But even Eric Mabius. I think he does like Hallmark movies or something now.
He was he on Chicago PD or something like that you were watching?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Maybe.
he was one of whatever the PD or hospital,
yeah.
whatever one of those that you watch. He showed up. I was
I
like, that's the
watch a
guy
lot
from The
of
Crow. Yeah.
You're like, it's The Crow. Like, which one? Well, it's the Salvation. It's like, oh, thanks, Logan, for pointing that out.
She's also watching. I'm like, that's Casey Jones.
Yeah, I really liked his character in PD.
Yeah. When you saw Resident Evil, did you get up and go,
Yeah,
guys, that's
Nemesis.
the new Crow?
Nemesis.
Nemesis is the Crow. And they're like, sit down. We're trying to watch a shitty movie.
Well, that's the sad thing. Hell, this movie was supposed to be, it was going to be released in theaters. And they pulled it like 2 weeks before it's released.
Yeah.
Like, now we're going direct to video.
I mean, it looks like a direct-to-video.
Oh, it does. The fact that they thought they were
I
gonna
will
put it
say,
in
you know what's
theaters.
funny, though? Like, back then, direct-to-video movies were at least like shot on film and had good lighting. Like there's some direct-to-video movies from like the early 2000s where at the time I thought they looked bad, and then you watch shit on Tubi and you're like, oh man, I'm missing the 90s 2000s direct-to-video where they kind of look like real movies.
Yeah, that's like I said, this thing, like biggest, like you said, like the money. If they would have put a little bit more money into this movie, literally, and that's the thing is, once again, they just cut the budget by $2 million.
Well, I mean, I don't think City of Angels did well.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
So I understand in that case. It's weird that they cut the money after the first one.
That didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
This movie, they made almost like, I think like $300 something million.
Yeah.
You're going to cut the budget to it?
Yeah, it made a shit ton of money. So Salvation, it did not save this franchise, but that's okay. I mean, I kept praying for a better Crow movie, and it turns out I did a wicked prayer. That was a smooth transition, not at all. Yes, the Crow Wicked Prayer came out in 2005. I had a friend in high school who like really loved The Crow and the sequels, and he was talking.
Logan?
Huh?
No.
It was my friend Logan. No, and he was like super excited for this movie to come
I was.
Oh man,
when I found out,
you would have been best friends with him.
I was at a concert and this guy, like, I had a Crow shirt and the guy's like, "Oh, do you know they're coming out with a new one?" I'm like, "What? They're coming out with a new one?" He's like, "Yeah, the guy from Terminator's in." I'm like, "Holy shit!"
You were like, "Holy shit, Arnold Schwarzenegger's the Crow."
No, the guy from American History X. Like, Edward Norton.
Ed Norton's the Crow. Yeah, Crow Wicked Prayer. I have a little description here. Tara Reid, tail end of her A-list career. David Boreanaz and Edward Furlong star in this epic tale of death, revenge, and redemption. After ex-con Jimmy and his girlfriend, Jimmy Cuervo, Crow, and his girlfriend are brutally murdered by a biker gang. Jimmy is resurrected by the power of the Crow to avenge his girlfriend's death and reunite with her in the afterlife. I had not seen this till today. I thought I had seen it, but after watching it today, I'm like, I think I would have remembered seeing this. I will say director Lance Mungia. He's gone on to direct some things after this, but he directed Six String Samurai. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's a really cool movie. I mean, the story is whatever, but it's a very stylized movie where a guy who looks like Buddy Holly, who has a samurai sword, is in a 1990s post-apocalyptic Vegas just killing dudes. It was a very like cool film. So I get why they had him. And there's a lot of stuff in this, especially early on, reminds me of his style for that film. Just not as good as that film. Oh, buddy. Out of all of them, this is the one that I think is trying to be the most different. Again, it feels like he wanted to make a wacky whatever, and they're like, you got to work some Crow stuff into this. And once again, the Crow shit does not work well into this at all.
No.
But yeah, so since you're the biggest Wicked Prayer fan, you have a tattoo of Wicked Prayer on your chest.
I do.
You have another one that says Edward Furlong does nothing wrong.
No.
What did you think of Wicked Prayer when it came out, and now?
So, like I said, when I first saw this, I've been looking for it, and none of the rental places in my area would carry it. So, like and at the time, Video Villa. I knew it's Video Villa, which is our channel, but like that was actually a video store called Video Villa. I was friends with a guy that was friends with the owner's nephew, and he just had a huge box of screeners, and they were all VHSs. And that's when he was like, "Hey, you want to go through this? See if there's anything you want to take home?" And I found it, and I was so pumped. I pulled. Now, mind you, like this is 2005, so I had already taken my VHS player out of my bedroom. I had my DVD player in there, so I go back and grab my VHS player. I hook it up to my TV. I'm sitting down. I'm so excited. I'm like, "Oh man, it's Saturday. I got nothing to do. I'll watch Wicked Prayer." And I put it in, and I turn it off after 15 minutes.
You couldn't even get through it?
No. It was. It's so bad. So I couldn't. This was us watching it was the first time I watched it fully.
Oof,
we didn't. We took a break because it was so freaking bad.
No. It was like,
oh my gosh.
We literally turned it off, and I was like, I gotta put something on. Put Alf on. I gotta watch something good here to get this out of my mouth. It's
so bad.
Yeah, it's a rough one. It is rough. Although, like, having seen Six String Samurai, I'm like, okay, I'm liking some of this.
Yeah.
So maybe that will help you get through it like it did me. But yeah, so Tara Reid, this was kind of like the end of her A-list stuff. But she still looks great. And then they got Manuel Chiriqua. I can never pronounce her last name. One of the girls from Wrong Turn. Beautiful, gorgeous women. The hair, the makeup and dress people should be shot. They look terrible in this. I'm like, what is wrong? Why do they look... Tara Reid's got that weird, like, fake tan that's going way too hard.
Yeah.
Her hair.
And
I think that style's out by the time this movie is being filmed.
Well, then you also get like the boyfriend wearing pretty much the same thing as the brother wears in, is it 51st Dates? The netted t-shirt.
David Boreanaz' netted shirt,
Sam the Wiles'
like,
netted shirt.
You're like, what the heck? And then,
They were all in on the clear lip gloss, but it just made them all look sweaty.
Yeah.
It made everyone look sweaty. I'm like, wow, you took like really good looking people and you're making them look terrible.
Well, even Logan was like, they're all so sweaty. And I'm like, well, maybe it's because it's the desert. I'm like, I don't know. Or it's their shitty makeup.
And then also the movie itself, like, so that was another thing. Like, I did like the comics and stuff like that, and I like the original comic book, and I really like the first one, and I like them both on a different level.
Yeah.
And so, like, to find out then, like, oh, no, there's, like, tons of Crow novels, not
Yeah.
comics, Crow novels.
Yeah.
And that's what this one's based off of, a Crow novel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the writer of the book was Norman Partridge. So he gets a credit towards the writing on the movie, and he actually, I don't know if you remember this, but he actually wrote another famous book that got turned into a very graphic horror movie that I brought up on your channel.
Okay.
The Dark Harvest movie. He wrote the book.
I didn't see it.
No, I know, but it's really, that movie is freaking gory as hell.
Okay.
Like, it is super gory, and it's more. It came out last year. But he also wrote that book, and that book's actually not that bad.
Okay.
So it made me want to read this book, and you can read this book for $150.
The Wicked Prayer book?
There's no other way you can get it. There's no digital downloads, nothing. You have to buy it, and the cheapest copy I found on eBay was $150. Like, not for Tony. Not for Tony. Sorry, not for Tony. I can't do it.
Man, there are things that in the last few years that I bought at the perfect time. Like, I have the Carnosaur novel. I'm not going to tell you where it is. It's definitely not in front of you in that cabinet. I bought the original Carnosaur novel for like maybe $60 on Amazon in like 2018. And then I looked like last year or the year or two ago, and it was just like hundreds of dollars. Now I think it went back down because they reprinted it finally.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I bought that at the right time. Holy shit.
Yeah, this is not in reprint at all. At all.
I don't think people are really itching to read Wicked Prayer again.
Well, actually, if you look on like certain like book sites, it's rated decent. Like, it's got like a B rating.
No.
So like, it's like people that actually read the books liked it, and there's a lot more of the Native American stuff apparently in the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. The movie, all right. So the movie has more lore to it, supernatural wise, tied into Native Americans,
which could be cool.
And then you have a Satan worshiping gang led by David Boreanaz.
But he's the angel.
Yeah, I know.
He's the angel.
I was Angela from the show was a big Buffy fan. I was just sending her pictures of David Boreanaz.
All shirtless pitch, right?
Yeah. He is a Satan worshiper because his dad was a preacher who was killed by a Native American dude. And then he decided he loves Satan after that. And he's got 3 boys with him. They're the 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
He's Death.
Tito Ortiz is in it. Famous UFC fighter.
Yes. There's Death, Pestilence, Famine, and War.
Yeah.
And War is played by the dude from the
Matrix.
Matrix who got fired between movies because apparently he was a little weird on set or something, like he was stealing shit or something. There you go, buddy. You got cut out of Matrix Reloaded, but you got to be in Wicked Prayer. I mean, neither are great movies, but at least Matrix Reloaded, people would have seen you more. Yeah, and they've all been wronged by the Native Americans. All of them.
Yeah, to be honest, the way they build it up is like, it's kind of hard to be like, okay, so they're putting the mining town out of business to build a casino.
Yeah.
I can understand why you might be a little mad.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go around shooting people.
No,
but,
killing innocent people. I wouldn't do that, but I can understand how you could be upset.
But I wouldn't be like, I'm so mad. I need to become the devil. I'm like, all right, I think like me. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Did you just say? I thought we were gonna get like a lawyer, maybe do like a writer congressman. We're skipping right to becoming the devil. Okay. Also, I feel like the devil's got other things he's worried about. I don't think he really cares about this too much. It is a shit show, but we got our star Edward Furlong.
Yeah.
Who's trying? He's trying. Can we all agree? He's really trying.
Like I said, when I first heard it, I was excited when I first heard it. And then we get slightly, probably, what's the word? He's probably taking methadone at the time to keep clean just to film the movie.
Probably, yeah.
Oh,
it's not great, but I can see he's like putting in effort
to
do a good performance. Yeah, so the story is all over the fucking place with this. Whenever I feel like I'm settling into the story, I'm like, okay, I follow what's going on. They'll throw you like a curveball or something weird will start happening. Like at one point, so he's back to life. The crow brings him back to life as it always does. We're going through classic crow stuff. I like that he shoots himself in the chest. but the bullet exits out the back, and it wasn't like tilted or anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you guys want to do another take of that?
That's, what is that's the JFK bullet theory thing, right? It hit a bone, it ricocheted inside his body, and then went out the back.
I guess that's what happened. So it feels pretty standard, but then we're learning more about this devil shit. People are able to like melt hearts into dust, and the blue-eyed Native American who has brown eyes the whole movie. She like they do a close-up on her and she has brown eyes and they're like, blue eyes. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a big thing where like Tara Reid's eyes are supposed to change, but like they look the same. Like her eyes, I think, are blue, but the other girl's eyes were not blue.
Yeah, and that's a part of that's a big part of the book.
Yeah.
That's a big part of they go in and explain like why. Like there is a lot to their backstory that we actually don't get in the movie. And it goes to like explain like the big essence of why she needed her eyes to finish whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Shit.
So the spell. Let me break down the demon spell for you. So they gotta steal, they gotta kill two lovers. One of them's gotta steal the eyes. It's gotta be a shaman. They gotta steal a lady shaman's eyes. And the guy's gotta steal the heart. And then they need to find a virgin. And then they gotta bring the virgin to a place, and then they have to get married and then sacrifice the virgin. And then that will make the devil go into you. But then you have to have sex and stare into the eyes of the shaman while you're having sex before sunrise, and then you're the devil.
That's how we got married.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations.
On Halloween night.
Congratulations.
Surprise. That's what we do in our free time.
I feel bad for that virgin, but I mean, you know, true love.
He wasn't missed. It's all right.
Yeah.
And you better hope that the guy who dies isn't brought back by a crow. How the crow selects these people, unknown.
We're a few years out, so I think we're good now.
So yeah, I'm like, that was very, very convoluted.
Yes, like literally, there was a point last night because we finished it last night that I was like, Logan, I don't know, like what the fuck is going on? Like, what? I don't even know what they're saying at this point. Like when they're
the dialogue, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
You have to turn the subtitles on for the like. All of a sudden, they start talking weird once he becomes the Antichrist and shit, and it's like,
don't fret, Fräulein. The apocalypse is going to be one hell of a honeymoon.
He's just like, fuck this movie. I'm going to add to a bunch of wacky accents.
Yeah, and then also like the guy that's marrying him, which is technically just like a pimp for a cult.
I'm sorry. The guy?
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper?
Still.
Who shows up, like, I'm like, he should have been in the whole fucking movie. I love Dennis Hopper in bad movies. He's great.
Literally, like, he somehow makes it worse because you're like, what are you doing and saying? And what is even happening here? And then he somehow used to be like Tara Reid's pimp, I guess.
It's her dad, I think. I think it's her dad slash pimp.
Yeah.
It's her dad that she forced men to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So dad and
but
pimp.
You're saying it made it worse. I was just like, oh, thank God this movie got good. Yes, Dennis Hopper. And was this in the book? Was he a jive talking gangsta priest?
I have no idea.
Literally, what is that? Like,
I was just like, in my heart of hearts, I want to believe he was just like, hey, I'm just gonna talk all like a rapper.
Wicked ass props to you, Mr. OG. And thanks for representing all the homeboys.
Yeah.
And they went, do whatever the fuck you want, Dennis Hopper. No one's watching
we're
this
just
movie.
happy to have you here.
For the homeboys. He's calling the other devil worshippers the homeboys.
I want him to be like looking at him with the script, be like, now what you want to do in this moment, you want to actually say, we're the homeboys. He go, okay. So like this, I feel like he really committed. Like he really want to get that character just right for this
he's
film.
Just like, when he thinks he's the devil, he's like, are you the OG? And I'm like, what is this performance?
I mean, this is up there with Waterworld. It's pretty good.
As soon as he showed up and he's doing this wacky gangster thing, I'm like, how? If I was a producer, I'd have been like, shoot the whole movie, put him back. He needs to be there frame one. Make him the main character. Fuck it.
Make him the fucking crow. At this
Make
point.
him the fucking crow. An elderly crow who's a jive talking. They killed my bottom bitch. And I love that, but you're right. It is a mess. And then, so how is he going to get the crow makeup? What wacky thing will they come up with this time? And it turns out that there was going to be a raven
What?
A Raven Roost, I think is what they call
Yeah,
it. Rose
right, even
Nut
though-
Raven Fest or whatever. It's like,
Even though it's a crow, that coaster's gonna fall. Yep, sorry. I'm realizing now my plastic coasters are sticking to the plastic cups. I'm
Have a
really
wet
sorry.
lap now.
I didn't
We're
pick up
good.
the other one. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I looked at it and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna drop. It's gonna drop. Yeah, the Raven Fest, which apparently years before it was Enchantment Under the Sea, and then that's where they really that whole plot line of how he killed someone earlier gets introduced we found out he went to jail and we didn't know why, and then it's because he accidentally killed a guy out of anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they keep calling him a killer, and it's like the last 1/4 of the movie. They're like, "Oh, this is why he's a killer." By the way,
Yeah.
But anyways, moving back, like,
Yeah, it feels disorganized, like they move things around in editing.
And also, what's the bad guy's character name again?
His name was Crash, I think.
Crash.
Yeah.
So the way it still didn't explain why. Okay, y'all were in together. Y'all were in the
Yeah.
whatever jail or whatever prison together. So y'all have a bond, but yet you and before this took his girl, like, because they
I
also
thought
made
they
the
were
fact that,
brothers.
No, they're not actual brothers.
yeah,
no.
because that's another thing is they made it act like, okay, you got the
Oh, sorry.
I love that sound.
What?
I love a special guest.
Yes. Okay. She was like, I didn't know there were people down here. Do you want to talk about the crow? I swear to God, she looks like she's going up the stairs. If she interrupts, I'm bringing you on camera if you interrupt one more time. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Well, the whole fact that like because they made a point where the bad guy liked his girl.
Yes.
But
I
you
think
took her from me. It's like, but he didn't make that clear because they were together before he went to jail.
Yeah, I think he liked her because she was like a shaman.
Oh, okay.
And it was part of the plan because his girlfriend, Tara Reid, has the devil book that is from her pimp dad who had it for some reason. Again, there was midway through, I'm like, okay, it's doing its own thing. And then it just kept throwing new shit at you. The one part that cracked me up, because no one's actually called him the Crow before.
Yeah.
And then he shows up at the prom. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish my thought. The makeup. How's he gonna get the makeup? And it turns out he was planning on going to the Raven Fest, and she made makeup for him, like Native American makeup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. And we see the other natives with like makeup like him, like, but where did you get the idea for like the white paint? And like they just straight up made him look like Brandon Lee. A diet scrawny Brandon Lee.
Literally like the dollar store version.
Yeah.
And then also so he comes out of the trailer after drawing his face paint on with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
And he's just got the face paint. And then the next scene, all of a sudden he's got black lips. I'm like, so you were just sitting there like,
Yeah. Hold up a second. Forgot these bad boys.
hold on a second.
But yeah, so at the big shooting at the Raven Fest, which looked like a school dance, I guess.
But also it was a bar too at the same
It
time.
was very confusing.
Like a saloon style bar. I
Yeah,
don't know.
so at the shooting, or like the attack there, Tara Reid goes, oh, he's the Crow.
He's the Crow, like in the legend.
I'm like, wait, you know what the Crow is? Someone wrote that down in your devil book?
Yeah.
Does it have anything else in there? Like, what else? What the fuck? He's like, oh yeah, he's the Crow. He's probably coming back to kill him. We should make you the devil soon, David.
Yeah. Like, gotta get on with it.
And they also have Danny Trejo in this movie, and they don't do nothing with him.
Well, he's the. Oh, what do you mean they do nothing with him?
Oh, they bring the Crow back.
They
by
hate.
dancing.
He hates. Whatever the Crow's name is in this. Sorry, they hate him. Because he thinks he's a bad guy, but then he finds out that he's actually good.
Yeah.
And to make up for it, he's like, well, this crow that was shot, I'm going to do a Native American dance to bring him back to life. And you get Danny Trejo tit bouncing in slow motion. What do you mean he did nothing?
And this is pre-Machete too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was showing up in direct-to-video. Like his character
Oh, yeah.
from Dusk Till Dawn 1 comes back, and from Dusk Till Dawn 2, he's not above
Once
direct-to-video
again,
at this point.
that movie, direct to video movie, far better than like Crow Salvation.
Oh, From Dusk Till Dawn 2 is decent.
Yeah.
Actually, we should do Best From Dusk Till Dawn at some point.
You can, because you also have the TV show.
Yeah, which was actually good.
Yeah,
I
it wasn't too
liked
bad.
I
I liked
liked it. I like.
Was that a Netflix show or was that another channel show? Like IFC?
It was on the El Rey network, and then I
Okay.
think they put it on Netflix. We're gonna put a pin in that. We should do From Dusk Till Dawn at some
Put it in the
point.
list.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on the list. It's all over the place. So War at the end, he's like wearing dynamite and stuff. But then there's a point where they're acting friendly, kind of.
And then also, he's getting shot at with fucking dynamite on him. Why has he not explode?
They are conveniently missing every part.
Yeah, and also, like, he's on a suicide mission, but unless I missed something, like, for what? What
I
is
don't
his
know.
end goal here? Like,
Also, in that one scene where like he's just killing the innocent kids, like, why again? Why are you killing the children? too, as
Because
well?
his brother was in the mine that drilled too close to the water that the natives had, and they drowned. And so now he's gonna shoot people up.
so everybody's just getting revenge in this one.
Yes.
Outside the Crow, it's like we're all seeking revenge on each other.
Yes,
so let's all just kill each other.
But also, the mine also leaks out toxic waste too. Like, there's so much
Yeah.
shit going on at this mine.
So these guys want revenge on the Native Americans. But yeah, David Boreanaz, when he becomes the devil, kind of. What he's like doing, like weird Jim Carrey style all over the place impressions, and
Yeah, and then Tara Reid's like trying to get it on. She's determined to like
Yeah.
finish this spell.
Yeah.
And he's like not about it. And then suddenly he's like, oh yeah, right now.
yeah,
And then, but just kidding. I like gotta kill this.
But
dude. Like,
and also her too. Like, she's also like trying to starting to show signs of remorse. I'm like,
yeah.
why are all of a sudden you showing like you carved a girl's eyes out of her skull?
Yeah.
well, I think that's because the sun was starting to rise, and she knew she was not gonna get the deed done. In
Oh yeah,
time,
she starts
So she's
doing. She
trying.
does a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
God.
and
She
it's like,
literally throws
girl,
a
you're
Hail
too
Mary.
late. Yeah, too late.
Yeah, but I love her thing with David Boreanaz. She's just like, no, you'll just be a husk, and I'll be white trash
Yes.
still.
Literally like their lines, the things that they say, and like the lack of effort in their lines
Yeah.
makes it so much more cringy.
Well, like I said, this was the tail end of her A-list stuff.
Yeah.
This is after American Pie too. Like this
Yeah.
is when she's her because
The
social
last
media
breath.
social media wasn't really huge at the time, but she
Yeah.
would have had like a Lindsay Lohan style,
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes style thing if it was bigger. That poor girl.
What, like,
I know.
was Josie and Pussycats? Was that like 2003?
That might have been before this.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I love Josie and the
I like
Pussycats.
her and Josie and Pussycats.
Yeah, Joseph was good. Yeah, Tara Reid was a good actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, great in those Sharknado movies. But this definitely was like whereas Kirsten Dunst did Salvation on her way up, Tara Reid's doing this on her way down. And then I don't know what the fuck
Yeah.
David Boreanaz is doing in this. I guess Valentine didn't take off, and he's like,
Well,
all
he
right.
was. I've no offense, but nothing against him. But he always had like, you don't got it, kid. You
Yeah.
got TV spunk. That's all you're going to be destined for. You're not going to be a lead character in a movie. And
Yeah.
there's nothing against that. You just have to realize that, own what you're good at.
Yeah. Remember, he loves the devil so much that he made deviled eggs and devil.
Yeah, and then you get the one scene, I forget his name, where he's just like, he's shoveling them back, like, no tomorrow. And they like,
The guy that's
pan
got
over-
cancer
Yeah.
from the mine.
Yeah, and he's just like, literally, like, the eggs are just oozing out of his mouth.
Oh yeah,
as
because
he's
he
eating
dies.
them.
Yeah.
He dies by putting in. He's
A bug zapper.
A bug zapper.
Yeah.
He electrocutes him to death by putting him into.
Well, I think he snaps his neck, too.
He stabs his neck,
Oh,
but
okay,
then
I
the
missed
bug
that.
zapper leaves an outline of a crow around him for no
Yeah,
reason.
Literally, like, a 12-inch large, if that bug zapper leaves a giant
Yeah.
crow thing. Again, we're reaching to get this crow stencil
Yeah.
here.
But you know what? They were like, okay, Kristen Dunst did Crow, and then she was in Spider-Man. What's a Spider-Man actor we can get? And they went, we can get Macy Gray. She was in Spider-Man 1 for 5 seconds. We can get her as a prostitute in this. And then someone went, can she act? And they went, what?
Yeah.
No, we got her.
Yeah.
No, but can she act? That's irrelevant. She's
Yeah.
here.
She's a face.
What the fuck is Macy Gray
I have
doing?
no idea. Oh my god. And that's the thing is, like, I always thought Macy Gray, when you see her in interviews and stuff like that, I always thought she was doing a bit.
No.
And then I realized, no, I think that's just Macy Gray.
Yeah.
I think there might be something going on upstairs.
Or nothing. That might.
Because they were giving her so many lines. I'm like, who is this lady? I'm like, oh my God, it's Macy Gray.
I knew it was Macy Gray when I saw it. I told Becca about it, and I think you mistake her for someone else. They're like, no, Macy Gray's like a big actress. I'm like, no, she's not.
Macy Gray is not a big actress.
No, I mixed her up with someone on like the early, I think Nickelodeon network.
Oh yeah, she was like, yeah, she was on all that. I'm like, no, she wasn't.
One of those like all that derivatives. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, and I'm like, then who is she?
She tries to walk away.
Yeah.
That's the only song. Yeah, it's the only song anyone knows, other than the Spider-Man one that you hear for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is a disaster. I kind of liked it in parts when it was being its own wacky direct-to-video kind of all over the place action movie. It was fine, but then the Crow lore and the supernatural lore again doesn't work. No. Except for when Dennis Hopper is a jive-talking Satan pimp, which that should have been its own movie, to be honest.
Really?
Should have been the whole fucking movie should have been jive-talking Satan pimp.
Write it, Tony. You want it? Write it.
I
I'm
will
sure
do
he'll
it.
star in
I
it.
will do it.
You know people, Tony. Next summer.
The Weinsteins will come after me. They'll be like, we know you're taking the plot of our hit film, The Crow, Wicked Prayer. Yeah, so final thoughts. It's a disaster, but
yeah,
it's kind of fun to laugh at.
Yeah, this one's shitty.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it's kind of entertaining. I don't know. You said you turned it off after 15 minutes, and back in 2005, I'm like, nah, let's see how bad it gets.
Well, when it gets to Edward Furlong's dialogue, I'm like, why is he speaking in only quotes now? Like, I'm confused. Like, that wasn't part of his character, and now it is. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I will say, go back and watch Six String Samurai. I might want to rewatch it now, having watched this film. But yeah, so the Crow, who is a character known for coming back to life, dies for over a decade. Almost 20 years, but don't worry, this year we get The Crow.
I'll never be alone.
We don't have, it's not on box yet, so we can't read the plot. The Crow is back, baby, and this time it's Bill Skarsgård.
It was going to be Jason Momoa and then Bradley Cooper at one point in time. Well, Bradley Cooper first, I think, then Momoa.
Jason Momoa made it to screen test.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like 8 days away from shooting. And
It looked great.
Yeah.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Like, I will say it looked great, but it had the vibe of City of Angels based off the screen test.
Yeah.
That were leaked
Now,
to release.
A lot of people wanted to go into this movie super negative. They wanted to shit on it right away. They were like, why are they remaking it? Why are they remaking it? It should have just been its own Crow. And me, I'm just like, well, they tried that 3 times. You guys didn't like it either. I just want you to know. Here's what it has to do with the... here's what they took from the original movie. His name is Eric. Her name is Shelley.
Yeah.
And that's it. Here's what it takes from the original novel. There's a horse and barbed wire. He has a katana. And the super excessive violence, which I appreciated.
Yes.
And that's it. It's basically its own movie. Again, we've got another revenge flick that is awkwardly trying to shoehorn supernatural Crow lore, but because J.O. Barr never actually spelled things out. By the way, J.O. Barr or James O'Barr? When did he switch to James O'Barr? It's really been bothering me that he's going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, mine, everything I've had, and now this is another, like, the original stuff, but, like, all mine, like, I think my original reprint was from 2001 of the trade, and that says James O'Barr on it.
Here we have, this says James O'Barr. Yeah, so at some point he must have switched to James O'Barr. I don't know why, but it's really been bothering.
Because he's really, to be honest, he's only written 3 stories. There's only 3 real credited stories that he wrote. He wrote the sequel. I can't remember, it was called Dead Time or whatever. And then, I don't know, like 5 years ago, he wrote another book.
Okay.
That was based off of, like, I think World War II. And a soldier became the Crow. And it had really good reviews. Once again, it's another book that's out of print, so you gotta buy a trade of it and spend a little bit more money than you should. But I still have not found it yet. But that's one I looked into the synopsis and it seems really interesting. Like really, really interesting. Because I mean, he drew a lot, but like
Yeah.
as far as like like he's not like like a Frank Miller that went off to just make
Again,
tons of
like,
shit.
as much as we like that original book, the writing is kind of all over the place. I
No,
can see
yeah.
why the movie got other writers to kind of like work it into something. But yeah, so this one, what'd you call it? The Shelley, no last name, as far as I can tell, has evidence that a guy did a bad thing.
Yeah.
And she purposely puts herself into rehab to hide from bad men. There she meets Eric, who was sad that a horse was in barbed wire one time and became a drug addict, I guess. They decide to break out of there because she's being hunted, and they're going to go into hiding. And by hiding, I mean they're going to be as public as possible every chance they get. They're going to be doing drugs in public, partying, even though...
By hiding, you go back to a place where people can find you. They know you.
Yes, exactly. That's what I meant by hiding. And they'll develop a relationship, but eventually the bad guys will get to them, kill them, and then he comes back as the Crow and avenges her death to try and save her. She's going to hell. I'll explain that in a minute. And he's got to save her before her soul goes to hell, and he has to do that by killing bad guy. Everyone is hating this. What did you think?
I liked it.
What, you liked it?
No, I liked it. I liked it. We both left the theater. I will break down what I like about it and stuff like that. But there are things I don't like about it. But I'll rewatch this. I'll rewatch this more than after all the shit show we just went through.
And you agree with this?
Yeah, I like it.
Bill Skarsgård is shirtless a lot in it.
Well, also, like, they're both very, like, Shelley and Eric in this are both very attractive, and I liked, like, the kind of, like, artsy turn that they took in some of the scenes and stuff like that. It made it very appealing.
So this is the guy who did Ghost in the Shell.
Great movie.
Everyone loves Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, people hate that movie.
People hate that movie. They didn't like. They just didn't like seeing a Jewish woman on screen.
Nah.
I'm pretty sure that's what the controversy was, right? Was
was,
that what it was? I know
I'm
they
pretty
didn't
sure.
like Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, oh, they must all be anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm sure that's what the I'm sure I'm remembering that right.
Yeah, no.
And then he did
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yes, where he got what's her face, Kristen Stewart, to
Kristen
cheat on
Stewart.
Robert Pattinson.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's my knowledge. I've seen 2 movies of his that I'm just whatever about.
Well, I would say, like, for example, Snow White and the Huntsman. If you're going to see a movie like this movie's going, like, I'm looking to have a good time. First off, why are you going to see in the first place? You already know, like, is the story even compelling enough to make you want to watch the movie?
Yeah.
It's one of those movies, like, for example, if it's on FX on a Sunday afternoon, you don't change it. You just kind of see how it goes because he's got a very visually appealing style. Because Ghost in the Shell, even though the whole controversy about it, there are stuff verbatim from the movie.
Yeah.
And the original, and it's shot so beautiful.
I remember it was a good looking movie.
And the action scenes are top notch. Yes, the ending has been flipped and stuff like that. But as far as like, if you actually go back and just watch it, it is a good action film. To be honest, I think it's better than like some of the comparisons. Like, I think it's better than Attila.
Or
Battle
Alita.
Angel.
Alita.
Alita Battle
Attila
Angel.
was the Hun. Who killed a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean,
Alita was the
Alita.
movie that everyone pretended to like, despite Captain Marvel. And then Disney ended up buying Fox, and now they own Alita. So all of that fake praise for a movie no one actually fucking saw, and Disney won in the end. Way to go, guys! People were legit pretending they loved that movie. They're like, "Don't see God,
couldn't stand it
see
when it
Alita." I watched the last 20 minutes of the movie at a gym, and I went, "This looks like shit."
No, no offense, the effects on that film were. I'm like, is she supposed to look like a Pixar character? I don't understand. I don't know.
Robert Rodriguez. That really went from being one of my favorite action directors, and now when I see his name on stuff, I'm like, I'll skip it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does The Crow now. It really is its own movie. I don't think I liked it as much as you guys. I mean, you're hardcore Crow 2024 fans. You're getting the tattoos, I'm sure.
I understand. I can understand. Like, I have receipts for the reasons why.
However, like you guys, I'm not going around saying it's like the worst thing ever.
It's
People
not.
are hating this.
They're comparing it to Borderlands right now, and I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's the same studio, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're really batting 1,000 right now. That's why they're bringing that up. Like, wow, twice in 1 month they just released bombs. Yeah, people are really, really hating it. And again, I get it's not a great movie. Maybe not even really a good movie.
Yeah.
But people who are acting like it's the worst thing ever, and I'm just like, have you guys seen a lot of movies? I mean, I've seen movies worse than this. Like, just on an action level, this one's pretty decent, especially that opera fight.
The third act, the third act alone, I think, to be honest, saves a lot of the movie. The third act.
Yeah. Talking about things that were left out, the over-the-top violence.
Yeah.
Like, the comic is very violent. He's chopping heads off and stuff. So that opera fight, I'm like, oh, I'm finally seeing that extreme level of violence there. And FKA Twigs.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best actress in the world. She's not an actress. She's a singer. I get it.
She's very pretty, though.
To their credit, they really, because one thing in the book, you constantly see flashbacks to their relationship.
Yes.
And like little moments that they had. Whereas the original movie didn't really do too much. And I don't know if they just never got around to shooting
those were the last 6 days of shooting before he passed.
It's not that movie's fault. I get it.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see them actually develop a relationship, even though they're both stupid as hell.
Yeah.
You're not on hiding. Get out of there.
I know, right?
Yeah, so they have that from the comic where they actually develop the relationship, whether you like it or not. I agree with both if you like the relationship or not, but at least it was developed. And he got to use a katana.
Yeah.
And then there was a horse and barbed wire, which is that's just like nightmares Eric is having in the book.
I like it's supposed to also compare to like the fact that like, okay, so his mom was a freaking drug addict and the only thing that he cared about was that horse.
In the movie.
And then they're like the horse somehow gets caught up and sick in the. I don't understand that part.
I think it's just they looked at the book and they're like, "What did the first movie not use?" Well, there's this horse and barbed wire. Throw it in.
Yeah.
Get it in there.
Give it a shot.
Brandon Lee didn't want to have a katana, so the bad guy had it. Like, well, fuck it. Bill Skarsgård's got that katana now.
Yeah. Roles the reverse.
Yeah. So yeah, he becomes the Crow, and this supernatural stuff. Like, so there's a bad guy who made a deal with the devil. Was it David Boreanaz? We don't know. He made the deal with the devil to give the devil innocent souls. And he has a voice that can make you like kill yourself and kill other people to corrupt you.
Yeah, I think what it is my understanding was what he can do, he's control you to do something that would make, I guess, in the eyes of the Lord, condemn your soul. Either kill people.
I feel like God's a little smarter than that, but okay, I get
I'm just
it.
saying, like, it just seems like a lot of things, like, they definitely, you can tell you have a religion in there, because there is, like, a hell. They make it very clear, that, like, these souls are going to hell, so then there's got to be a heaven to take these souls out of hell to send to, you know what I mean?
So they kind of work, because again, The Crow and all these other movies is kind of random, just picking random people to bring back. So in this one, they're like, her death was unnatural. And you were her lover, you were killed at the same time, so we were picking you to avenge them. And speaking of things that weren't used in the book, they decided to actually give him a guide this time, a spirit guide.
Yeah.
And they made it just some guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, but what the thing with him is, either, I don't know, are you trying to do an American accent? Do you have a foreign accent? If you do, just speak in your natural tone. Yeah. That's the thing. People were going in and out of accents all through this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård sounded weird in this.
That's the other thing is like my thing is like, okay, it doesn't really feel like we're in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I think we almost told the end of the credits, but I don't think this was filmed in the U.S.
No, it wasn't. I forget. I looked up where it was, and I'm totally blanking on it.
I don't know if it was Canada or something like that. I can't remember.
I think it was somewhere in Europe.
But the thing is like, so that's fine. Like, just because like we don't need an American accent.
Yeah.
So like I just rather these people like speak in their normal accent. I think the movie would have been portrayed. The lines of dialogue would have came off a little bit better, less than choppy and kind of like bad acting.
But like, what was he? I assume he is a former Crow, but why is he there?
Yeah, that's the thing is he's supposed to be the he's not the Skull Cowboy, but technically he's our Skull
So
Cowboy.
the writers of the first one and they didn't actually even like the Skull Cowboy.
No, they thought it was hokey.
They felt like they had to use him because it was from the book. So they were kind of like, I mean, they don't like the circumstances for why they had to rewrite, but they were kind of glad to get rid of him. But they were like, all right, let's make this make sense. They're like, what if he was a previous crow who failed in his missions and now he's cursed to help other crows? That's one way you could do it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what they were going for in this. But it just wasn't explained.
My thing, to be honest, I don't even think Eric was brought back to save Shelley and redeem her. I think he was really just brought back to kill Danny Houston.
Yes, but if he kills Danny Houston, he's able to save her soul.
Exactly. I think, like, literally, I don't think it had anything to do with. I think it was just like whoever the powers that be wanted that guy dead.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, you died and your soul's damned. We'll give you the opportunity to get it back.
Eric can now go in between Earth and the spirit world.
Yeah,
he has some extra powers, I guess.
Well, technically, he died.
Yeah.
And that's why he went back into the spirit world.
Yeah.
And then he...
But he can go in and out now.
Yeah, I guess.
It's very confusing. Yeah. But yeah, so he's on his mission. And again, for most of this movie, like 80% of this movie is just revenge, action flick.
Yeah. To the point.
Yeah.
He's a musician, like the first one, apparently. Someone said he was a rapper, but I never got that dialogue that he stated.
Nah, I think he was just making beats.
Yeah, I mean,
it was very updated for now.
Yeah.
Whereas like 90s was into grunge rock. I know people were hating on it. I'm like, well, if you're gonna update it, might as well make it like what's popular now. But also, it's like, oh, maybe The Crow only worked in this particular decade with this style. Maybe you can't update it.
He's working on his SoundCloud.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate that it wasn't really trying to remake the original. It doesn't really feel like a remake at all.
No, not at all. It really does. To be honest, I feel like all these people complain about it. If you would just change the names, I don't feel like there would have been that as many complaints.
Yeah, and I don't even think they say Eric Draven, to be honest.
No, I think it's just Eric. Literally, I think it is just Eric.
Just Eric Bird Geisen. That's his name.
Eric Malone.
Yeah, Eric Malone. Yeah, people really didn't like his look with the tattoos. It was very Suicide Squad, but I guess that is what's popular. So.
And apparently, did he try to? Was he a cutter or did he try to commit suicide? I didn't understand that because you see the scars on his arm. Like,
I think it goes either way. He definitely tried to commit suicide.
Okay. That's what I was saying. There was like, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Is that why he's in this rehab technically?
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, it's just the supernatural stuff just doesn't work for me. Danny Houston as the bad guy was lame.
Yeah.
His powers. Also, we can't let this video go out of me killing this girl. It's only on one cell phone.
Well, that's the thing. He's not even killing anybody.
Yeah, I know,
that's
he doesn't want evidence that he's been around.
He witnessed it, I guess. Yeah. He was in the same room because, and that it still doesn't explain.
But it's just
who the hell is this guy?
That camera wasn't secret. It was like here.
Yeah.
Like, how did you not know you were being filmed, you dumbass?
It was like vlogging style. Like someone was vlogging what they were doing. And then also like one of the kids like then sent it out. That's how Shelly got it on her phone. So it's like, nah, why would you send out a video of people murdering people? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was confusing. Then we find out like her mom sacrificed her to him so she could become famous. And she's got just big pictures of herself everywhere where I'm like, all right, I'd probably do the same thing. Maybe not sacrificing the kid part, but having big pictures of myself.
Like, I can get down with that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, you do, Tony. They're upstairs. In the living room.
Shut up. Yeah, so again, just an action flick, whatever. That opera fight again was so fucking cool.
Oh, and actually, I'm not gonna lie, I jumped in the theaters when that thing came out of his mouth.
Yeah, it was cool.
It actually scared me.
It was cool.
Well, that's good.
No, you go.
Yeah.
That's like where he jams the katana in the guy's jaw.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
First
that was
off,
so good.
I like don't really do a whole lot of gore.
Yeah.
And so neither of us had any idea this was even coming. And I'm like, oh my gosh. First off, like the only head I want to see get chopped off is Ghost Ship. That's the only head I don't mind at the jaw length getting chopped off. But yeah, it was definitely like, he was just killing everybody. It like went beyond revenge and he was like, fuck it, you all die because you all are here. So who gives a shit?
That scene was so amazing. Like literally, like I said, if people that don't like this movie, I would say, you got at least like the third act. I mean, come on, that's the entire
like that
opposite.
fight scene at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever watch this again, but I'll probably put on that fight scene.
Yeah. It's like 5 minutes of just people getting chopped to pieces, essentially. Just
so
shot
good.
and
Yeah,
shot.
so good.
And so just overall, the movie's just whatever. Like, I'm not gonna say it's great. Like, the ending was super weird, where it's like, all right, so he accomplishes his mission, but he like, it's one or the other now.
But here's another thing that I don't understand with that ending, because when he comes back and he goes, my life for hers, he says you'll still never be able to see her again.
Yeah.
So technically, even when Shelley passes from this life and goes wherever, she's still not going to be reunited with him.
But he thinks they might. But so him saving her resets to the moment of death.
That doesn't make sense to me at all.
And then and then that guy, the crow dude, is like the EMT, and it's like
he fought really hard for you.
Yeah. So does it reset? Because I assume all those bad guys still live in this new timeline. Is she going to be Lady Crow who kills them, or
I really don't. That part, like that, like she's. I don't know. Like for some reason, like they should have just brought her back, and like maybe this just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
To me. Not really. Like this is hard. Like is like yeah, is Danny Houston still alive? I mean,
yeah, it's very. And then Danny Houston finding out that the crow exists is like, I'm going to take his power. So it's like City of Angels.
Yeah.
And then he kind of does. His voice works on him a little bit.
Yes, by stealing his powers, but apparently his love for
Shelley
was so strong he was able to overcome it before the transformation was finished.
Yes.
However, then there's one point where he questions his love for her.
Yeah.
Almost like in City of Angels, where he's like, I mean, my kid, but like, you're also pretty hot. Maybe I can let you go. And then there's one point where he's like, well, do I love her? Because like the video and shit.
Because
like,
that's a new element. They added that element to the storyline. The whole like your love has to stay strong.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't in any of the other like the temptations or any like that were not going to even be brought up. Like I don't know. Like I don't mind it. Like I said, like I don't mind that the fact that they changed it up a little bit. It's still kind of like it does hurt the movie a little bit. Where it's just kind of, this really don't make sense.
And then my favorite thing: how does he get the makeup? And at first they showed it in the preview where like all the crows go into him to give him like powers and stuff. And he's like bleeding from his eyes. I'm like, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
But then he comes back to life and he's just got some like, after his friend died and that awkward scene where he's just sitting next to his dead friend, like it's all comedic. And I'm
all
like,
the people
I feel like
he killed. And
I'm like,
up.
this feels like this is a weird time to put comedy. Like that's his, I get like telling the corpse to hold the cigarette of the guy he killed, but like your
poor friend.
Your friend's just sitting there like dead. Like it's just awkward. But then he just gets like makeup from a tattoo because he never got to finish a tattoo on his hand that she wrote. Then he finished it and then he's like, I'm gonna put some makeup on I want to put some tattoo ink on my eye and now I'm Crow. And then the jacket so they're at their friend's apartment who's not there. They conveniently go in the friend's apartment and trash it, by the way.
Yeah.
Bunch of assholes. Putting champagne everywhere. And they find out he had a nice black jacket. And when he goes there to get the phone, he's like, I'm going to wear this jacket so I look like Crow. The crow looks weird without long hair. If you're going to do the jacket and everything, it looks weird without long hair. But yeah, it's not bad enough to get upset about.
Yeah.
I will say, I understand if people don't like it, I get it. But it, like you said earlier, I mean, there's a lot of fucking shitty movies out there.
Yeah.
And this, no offense, this ain't that bad. It ain't great, but it ain't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing really much more I want to. Do you have anything else you want to say about it? I think
No, I mean, like I said, there's like the elements that I like. You know, there's a lot of elements that I do like about it. Like, first off, I didn't really care. Like, all right, you just met this bitch. Now you're really gonna die for this girl. But then I'm like, all right, puppy dog love. That first, when you first fall in for someone, you fall pretty hard. All right, maybe I can convince myself, like maybe it's somewhat, and that would make sense once you find, oh no, this bitch is a murderer. I like her. You know what I mean? I kind of get that. It would have been nice where you're like, well, why don't we just like fast forward like 6 months after in hiding?
Yeah.
And then they caught up with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. But I mean, like I said, like I understand there are some complaints with the movie, and I get that. But there are a lot of things in the movie. I think like it is very beautiful. Very well shot. I think it's very, like, I mean, I like the style. A lot of people are complaining about the soundtrack. To be honest, this soundtrack is more of a Crow soundtrack than all the others. Because, first off, the soundtrack, you got Joy Division in the soundtrack. Yeah. Joy Division was James O'Barr's, like, favorite band.
Okay.
It makes sense that it's in there. Gary Newman is in it. What's called, I mean, like, you got Enya, like that's like it. When you're watching it, it's got a vibe, and the vibe is very, like I said, it just feels good. Like, but I get some of the storylines is muddy.
Yeah,
and it really doesn't make sense.
The story is all over the place when it comes to the supernatural stuff, as it often does with these, and the characters just not knowing what hiding is.
Yeah, and there is dumb things there's things here that someone should have like. That don't make sense. Well, that's dumb. Let's change that.
What's your main takeaway from Crow 2024?
Like,
is it movie of the year,
No.
or should it get Best Picture? Oh, okay.
No awards. I just like the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
Like, especially the beginning portion. Once he like becomes the Crow, then the aesthetic like kind of like goes out the window. You're like, okay, now we're checking off all the other boxes that they're supposed to check off. But yeah, the aesthetic gets me. I'm easy to please. If you got a good aesthetic, I'm like, good enough. Moving on.
I feel like you would watch a movie like, I don't know, Space Cadet and think it was good.
Probably, maybe. I don't think I've watched
it. You did watch it. That's the movie I told you about, and you're like, I was like, I think you like this movie. You're like, oh yeah, I did.
Emma Roberts. She tries to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, we're all like, that movie's awful.
I think you literally stopped watching it and you came in the next day and I was finishing it. I'm like, I like it.
Well, I started talking to her. She kept on pausing. And she's like, I'm like, what? And she's like, I actually want to watch this. I'm like, fine, I'll go upstairs.
Enjoy Space Cadet.
Yeah.
Crow is better than Space Cadet. Well, at least.
Yes.
You put
I will say
that on the
yes.
poster. It's better than Space Cadet.
Although two different genres, yes.
Still. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the video where we have to decide what is the worst Crow movie. It's actually pretty hard now that I think about it. So I don't
really?
Yeah. What do you think is the worst Crow movie?
Wicked Prayer. I like it. It started to irritate me. I literally was like, "What the fuck are they saying? They're giving me a headache." Like, it started out okay, but then like I said, they introduced like the cult kind of aspect in City of Angels, and then they pull it back a little bit, but keep the whole like weird sex shit in Salvation. And then Wicked Prayer, they're like, "Do you want weird cult shit and weird sex shit? Let's just all put it in this one."
We got you.
Yeah, I was like, what? What do you guys do? You went way too far off the deep end here. So that's my vote.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think is the worst Crow movie?
It's Wicked Prayer.
Oof. I'm sure people are like, why aren't they picking 2024? I'm like, because it looked like a movie. Yeah, for me, let's see. I want to agree with you guys, but I'm sorry, Jive Talk and Dennis Hopper saved the movie.
I knew it, Tony. I was like, you like this guy too much.
It was like, Wicked Prayer, Dennis Hopper. I'm like, sorry, Salvation. I'm throwing you to the wolves. Yeah, Crow Salvation. What's upsetting about that is that on a story level, it had potential, and then it still flopped. And also, Eric Mabius's face bothers me. So I'm going with Salvation, even though it's probably Wicked Prayer. I will never hate on Dennis Hopper's Jive Talking Gangster Priest. Pimp, it's so good. How could you not like it?
I knew you were sold on that.
Well, that's where most of the budget went to, is getting Dennis Hopper.
Deserved every penny.
And they waited till the end because they were like, I feel like we lost everyone at this point, but let's bring them back. Let's bring the fans back.
But yeah, again, it's probably Wicked Prayer, but I'm saying Salvation. But it looks like Wicked Prayer won worst Crow movie in this episode. Where can we find you two?
You got it.
So you can find us on videovillentertainment.com. That's where we have all of our social media links, as well as any of our video links for listeners and people that watch. Whether it's Spotify or YouTube, all that information is there.
Any social media, anything like that. You look up Videoville Entertainment, you'll find it.
And you go on there, check out the Memoirs of an Invisible Man episode.
Yeah.
Leave a
Very good
comment
episode.
saying best episode, best guest. Please leave that comment there. I think that was pretty good.
No, I
was a great
I
episode.
had a good time with that episode.
No, that was a good one. Check it out. You guys are probably wondering, Tony, who was the guest on that episode? Well, you're gonna have to click and find out. I don't know.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. Who could have been on that episode that I'm saying is the best one?
His name rhymes with Oni.
But yeah, thank you for having real Crow fans here, not that poser Joey C. He probably, honestly, Wicked Prayer would probably be his favorite because he relates so much to Edward Furlong.
How dare he?
Oh man,
I want to see Joey C as the Crow. That'd be fun.
he can do it well. He's got the build.
Can we ever have a Crow that comes back just to like avenge like their bro that they like? Crow bro, we're doing it.
Or we should just have a movie where all the crows come back and just like battle to the death. Battle for the best crow.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little hard.
Yeah.
Because you can't bring
We're
the best
down
one.
one,
Yeah,
I know,
it's
right?
gonna be a little hard to do.
He'll always be the number one, but they can pick a number 2.
Although I don't know. I saw Alien Romulus. Apparently, you just bring actors back from the dead now.
What's the guy that did John Wick again?
The director.
Yeah.
There was 2. One's David Leitch and
David Leitch.
I
Yeah,
forget the other
because
one.
he was one of the stunt doubles of Brandon Lee.
Oh
in the
yeah,
first one.
yeah, because those movies were made by big stunt
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, I would say don't go to the theater. It's probably not in theaters anymore to see the new Crow. I don't want to say like don't believe all the hate, but if it ends up on streaming for free, give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it. I feel like a lot of people, like I know Adam and whatnot hated it, but I think a lot of people were maybe shitting on it without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
Because when they said it was like the worst Crow thing ever, I'm like, I don't think you've seen the
Yeah.
other Crow movies.
Yeah.
Well, that was the whole thing. Every time, that was our conversations while we're sitting on the couch. I'm like, everyone says that the new one's so shitty. I'm like, have you seen what we're watching?
They
now?
probably, it's kind of like Prison Mike on this show. When I told him we're going to do worst Home Alone movie, he's like, oh, well, that's easy 3. And I'm like, no, there's 3 more after that. And he went, what? I feel like some people just don't know that there were other Crow movies.
Yeah.
Maybe they heard of City of Angels. They probably haven't heard of Salvation and Wicked Prayer.
No.
so.
I mean, well, I will say City of Angels is, I mean, if you're our age, you know of it because, like you said, they played this on rotation a lot.
Yes.
A
I remember
lot.
being very young and seeing the advertisements
Yeah.
for it. So, yeah. But yeah, stick with the original. Read the book.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to tell you. Stick with the original, read the book. Still holds up. That 4K transfer is nice. Watched it the other day.
Yeah.
Looked nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is it from us. Let us know what you think is the worst Crow movie ever. And should we review every episode of the TV show on Patreon? I'm brainstorming that idea. I want you guys to know. Should we review Crow Stairway to Heaven starring Mark Dacascos? Let us know in the comments. And that's it from us. Goodbye.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.